All right.
Good. So many thanks for the speakers who have already joined. It's not, yeah, still missing a few. I hope they join on time for their talk. I will start actually with the first topic. So I'm hijacking the first 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Let me just give a last look here. Yeah, so I count on you guys to check if there is someone waiting in the waiting room, because I will be looking at my page then over here. So like every time, Sebastian Eggermont, I'm located in Brussels, Belgium, and I will be then chairing this meeting, and I will record each talk at the moment the speaker starts, and then I will just stop that, and we have some time for questions, either during or after the talk. That depends on how the speakers feel it, and then at the end we do a small recap and closure. So we are always best served by yourself, right? That's what we say. So I'll start with the first, let's say, talk, which is really 5 minutes introducing you on the hackathon that we are planning organizing next month. So, but I will also record actually my talk here. Hopefully I will not put everyone in delay, and I will stick to the 5 minutes. Yes. So a hackathon being organized next month in the Netherlands, in Helmond, in the Home Computers Museum. Maybe some of you know this place. So when and where, for who is it, what to expect, and how to register. We will go quickly over this in these 5 minutes then. So I just mentioned where is it. So in the Home Computer Museum, here you have the address. So it's really in the city center of Helmond, nice little town. You have the link here to the web page of the museum. It's a really nice museum, I should say, because you have it's not just a museum. It's also like the machines that are on display. You can actually play with them. You can really use them. They are available, and then you can. There is also like all the documentation for that they have that you can access. So books are there. You can just use them. Sit at I don't know a former PET Commodore PET, and just if you have disk, maybe you can even use them. It's a really nice location. So 8 and 9 of April, the doors will open at 9:30. I think that's a bit earlier than the usual, but they will do that for us on Saturday, and also on Sunday a little bit earlier than usual, so that we can start preparing, installing, etc. So I'm sometimes being asked, yeah, but who should participate to this? I'm not a super hardware engineer or whatever. I think in a hackathon in general, by default, it's for everyone, right? At the moment you're interested in learning and doing something, you can be completely beginner and come with your, I don't know, your basic V2 book and your Commodore 64 or whatever, or if you have one of these new the C64 or something like that. If you work on a laptop, you just bring your equipment with you. It can be so. People will be creative, right? So we can work on software systems, games. You could have like the idea, oh, I want to start a new BBS from scratch. I have no idea how it works. Then you bring your laptop. If you want to work on hardware, then you bring what you need, the tools you need for the hardware design, etc. Like always, at Commodore users, what we are looking at, it's of course just Commodore computers, right? So not. I know that Commodore in the past they were doing like calculators and stuff like that. So it's not that is maybe less relevant, but everything else in the series that is even the new if you want to play with Amiga 65 and build something in Commodore, basic version 10, you can work on that as well. So what to expect in a bit more details here. The morning session of the Saturday, we will just start by discussing and deciding on the themes, right? So based on who will be present there, maybe some people will say, we would like to work on, I don't know, a new Amiga functionality, or we want to, I don't know, make a game in 10 lines or in 20 lines, or we want to optimize a compiler that is open source here, or whatever. Teams will be discussed, and then we will decide on who does what, or what are the teams that are kept, and then we will build teams, right? So people who wants to work on the same thing, they just gather together. Around 11, we should have a very short introduction or welcoming words from Bart, the director of the museum, like 10 minutes, and then we have 5 minutes for some questions with him. And then we start. There is, of course, lunch breaks are foreseen. I think that the closing day of day 1 is around 6. That's the normal time they close the museum. But then there are options depending on who is there, who wants to participate. We can go and have a dinner in the evening, and also a party afterwards. That can be even at the museum, depending on how many people are there. People who wants to continue, of course, working late at night, if they want, they can, but maybe not in the museum, but somewhere else. That is, of course, not forbidden. And then the day after, yes, again, we start officially at 11, but doors will be open before. Lunch break around 3, maybe we wrap up, so we see where people are, what did they achieve in 1 day and a half or in 2 days, and maybe what are the next steps. We discuss what are the next steps, and maybe people will, the teams will come into a future meeting and explain the status, right? And then you can, of course, stay. The museum is accessible during the 2 days. You have full access to whatever is presented there, so that you can go around. How to register? You can already register. So since a couple of days, there is a link to the tickets. You need to use this link that is displayed here. If you go on the museum page at the moment, they don't have a direct, or if you go to the tickets page, you will not find it. So it's, let's say, hidden. It's a dedicated page for this hackathon. The price is 32 euros, and that includes the, as you see here on the screen, museum entrance for the 2 days, the lunch for the 2 days, and then coffee, tea, and water. I guess it's as much as you want. And then they have like drinks at €1 if you want, I don't know, a Coke or a beer or whatever. So the option for the evening, I think there is a dinner foreseen for something around, now I wrote 55 euros. I'm pretty sure that is the exact amount, but that should be confirmed. And then again, to be confirmed, the party, depending on who's willing to join and how many people we have there. Right, so the link is already on our Facebook page, and it will be also published on the web page as of tomorrow. Yeah, and that's it for this part. I don't know if there are any questions. Maybe not. Good, but then I will just stop my recording now, and I have already put some delay at the total meeting. And then who's coming up next? That is, I have it, of course, here. I'm sharing still, I guess. So this is the agenda for today. Raffaele is next with the Ultimate Library for Commodore 128. I will stop sharing. And then Raffaele, if you are ready.
Okay.
Yes, then you can start sharing. And in the meantime, I will again launch the recording. Yes, Raffaele, floor is yours.
Okay, can you see my presentation?
For the moment, I have a black screen.
Oh. Okay, I hope.
Something, yeah, I think something's coming up because I see at least a mouse pointer.
I'm not sure what's happening on my PC.
That's the demo effect. You know, every time you want to share something, then
It's still blinking. I don't understand why.
we'll pause the recording for some minutes. Yeah. Okay, just wait a second. Yes. There you are. You can see your screen, Raffaele.
Do you see? Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So good evening to everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Sebastian, for your invitation. I'll introduce you C128 lib, a new library for creating games and application on Commodore 128 using assembly. In this presentation, I'll show you some information like who I am, why I choose to create this library, how this library is organized, and what are the main components. Obviously, we see some code. I'm a developer, I like theory, but I need code. And then the references for using this library or to contact me. So we can start with the first topic. My name is Raffaele Intorcia. I live in the northeast part of Italy between Venezia and Trieste. I started to play on a Commodore 64 in 1985, then quickly moved to C128. And then at the end of the 8-bit era, I moved to 8088 with DOS, Windows, and other things like that. My professional career started as a developer on LAMP stack, and now I'm working as a team leader, Scrum Master, desktop and web software developer. I don't have too much time to do all these things because Scrum Master takes me most of the time. And these are my contacts for LinkedIn, Twitter, GitHub. I have a not really updated blog on Commodore stuff. And obviously, this is my email address if you want to contact me. So why did I choose to start this new library? There are some preconditions. I was and still am a proud user of C64 lib. That's still a great source of inspiration. And I want to make something similar to C128. I like very much assembler, and I'd like to create something with Gradle and Circle IO for CI/CD toolchain. I fixed also some expectation, like the library should be simple for novice, should help assembly practitioner to write code to make more readable than assembly, obviously. But I want to make it also helpful for bigger projects. I like open source, so should be open source and MIT list licensing. Sorry, I've got the flu. I don't feel good. So anyway, as I said before, I am a user of 664 lib, and I took a source of inspiration. So I created a GitHub organization, which is available on the link you can see github.com/C138lib. This organization contains several repositories, which are the components of the whole library. GitHub has a project feature for issue managing, and every repository has its own issues. A project lets you see the big picture. Developer use discussion for coordination. At this time, there are two developers, me and John. So let me say, ciao, John. It's a pleasure to work with you. At this time, there are 5 repositories that are common chipset, framework, samples, and reference. Common and chipset are the simple one. They contain many labels for the most important memory addresses. In common, you can find a label for kernel, routine, screen editor, etc., but also macros for simple math operation. Most of them are taken from C64 lib. I honestly didn't work much on it, so I grabbed content from that library and added some particular addresses for C128. Chipset is the same, but also as a module to work with VDC that is capable of 80-column screen on a separate video channel. That implies that the C128 has an independent double screen solution. VDC is more difficult to program because it has an internal video memory, doesn't share a screen memory mapped on RAM, and it is accessible only with 2 registers for address and data. It has some internal register to perform every operation. So chipset maps all these registers and provides macros for reading and writing data to VDC. New macros and for more advanced operation will be implemented in the future. Just a quick example of code. Common contains basic start 128, the classical instruction to create the SYS instruction. Chipset contains some macros to make more readable code, like this to set border and background color to black. Framework is the newest repository. It started some weeks ago. Its purpose is to take advantage from a common and chipset to provide functionalities to create complex application. At this time, it contains 2 modules for array manipulation and a string manipulation will be available soon. It's built to be a framework, but in many cases appears like an assembly code repository. Sample has been created just to provide example and to show how labels and macros works, just for example and learning purpose. Reference, as the name suggests, it's a navigable resource for reference. It contains reference for memory, for chip, kernel. It's a work in progress project and takes its contents from many sources like book, official references on the web, and other resources available. Okay, so let's start with the most important part of the presentation, code. We take a short journey starting with the classic example, the hello world. This is the basic example, a minimal use of common library. Line 2, there is a SYS declaration setting entry point to 1C10. Then the entry routine at line 6, it calls print string with length that obviously prints a string with a length of 12. A string is defined on line 11, and then there are the classical import to make use of the basic start and the print string. So this is the one. And if you try to run this program on Vice, you'll get this output. I also made a list to see how basic start composed the SYS command. Next example is just a little bit complex by adding a Go80 instruction. This is just a kernel call to move the output to the 8-column monitor. As you can see on Vice, you can see the 8 column that displaying the hello world string. Next example is more complex. Is just to show how sprite can be handled. These macros are on chipset and are specific to sprite handling. Take this code. Here are the clean screen call, a border and background color set to black. Then you have a sprite 0 definition, color, multicolor, positioning using shadow registers. The last macro tells how to move sprite 0. Argument can be used to set which sprite to move, speed of sprite, quadrant, which means direction, and delta xy to xy, to define amount of movement. It's something similar to move SPR basic 7 command. C128 will move sprite according to arguments, so you don't need to care about it. This macro can save you from writing all these instructions. These are 22 LDA and SDA, which are done with this single macro. And this is just a video. I probably can start. Yes. Of what happened by running the program we saw on the last slide. As you can see, the sprite move, and there is no instruction of inside my program to move the sprite. The system moves automatically. Okay. But how to integrate C128lib? This library can be integrated by using Gradle. Gradle is a build automation tool for multi-language software development. You only have to create a build Gradle file. Inside this file, you set the assembler plugin, which came with C64lib, and inside the Reto project node set assembler as a compiler, library folder where library will be downloaded, and which library you need and what version of them. After this, you have to install Java JDK and Gradle. If everything goes well, you can use Gradle command to build your source code, or Gradle clean to be sure to clean your previous build. These are the same command used to develop C128lib. Every repository is configured to start a build on Circle CI. Every push on develop on master branch will trigger a build on Circle CI. This helps you to understand if your source code works outside your computer, but build status will be reported on your repository page on GitHub. On my Kick Assembler project, there's an additional step that takes the application PRG file built on Circle CI when there is a push with a tag, and send it back to GitHub auto-magically. This won't apply on C128lib because there's no PRG to deploy, but it's an interesting feature for your project. Next slide. 10 slides are made to show you some useful interesting macros. Some of them are taken from C64lib, but many others are new. Common contains a math module. Inside the two math macros were added to simplify division. You can divide a 16-bit number with another 16-bit or an 8-bit number. Then we have video. We saw something earlier in this presentation. You can see macros for cursor positioning and string write. These macros use a kernel routine and works with the 14 or 80 columns. Going on chipset, there is a CIA module which contains macros for setting Big Bang detected joystick fire. Next, there is an MMU, which is specific to C128. A great effort has done to make this module because there are macros to set the main configuration on your application. You can set common RAM amount. C128 has an 8-bit CPU, so only 64 kilobytes can be addressable at time. To gain access to 128 kilobytes of memory, CPU can switch to different bank, for example, by using set MMU configuration. Common RAM is a part of bank 0, which is always visible despite of the bank currently used. This consents to have a piece of code always available. Amount of and position of common RAM can be configured with the set common RAM. Then we have a sprite. It's a bunch of macros specific to sprite handling. It's based on PETSCII labels and shadow register. We saw some of them in the other slide. You can enable or disable sprite, move sprite, set color and multicolor, or set an automatic move as we saw. VDC is completely dedicated to 80 column chip. You can switch to and from 80 column read and write between system memory and internal VDC memory. No specific length for this module, but I thinking about intensifying work, about abstraction of functionalities here or on framework repository. For PETSCII, it's available a bunch of macro for button and background color selection, handling basic IRQ, screen editor IRQ. There are some macros to select the PETSCII configuration, screen memory position, char memory position, etc. It's facilitated by using talking labels for easy configuration. There is not too much about framework. Currently, it's available only a bubble sort inside a sort module. It's planning a quick sort. New macros for string manipulation are currently under development. New macros for array manipulation are planned. And then last topic is reference. You can reach GitHub organization. You can look at the same information, at some information about how to use library as a user or a developer. You can take a look at the memory map and reference. And obviously, if you want to talk to me, you have, if you want to have more information or participate, is my email address. As you can see, there's already a lot of work done, but many functionality are planned. So if you are interested in some way, stay tuned and feel free to ask. New users are welcome, new developers are even more welcome. I'd like to discuss new ideas to improve the library more and more to make it more complete. So I have done, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Raffaele. I don't know if there are any questions from the people in the call here. In the meantime, I will look in on the Facebook page if there is any. Oh, I see a comment here. What is it? Steve Commodore, who says, "Good evening, everyone." Well, thank you. Good evening to you too. We have like 11 people attending on Facebook, and we are like 7 here. I don't know. Any questions? Yes, no? Otherwise, I have a couple. Have you tried, for example, on the Ultimate 64 or on devices like I don't know, maybe the Amiga 65? Because I think the memory address is supposed to be the same, but I think that in the past some people have tried with these devices a few things, and from time to time it can be that it's not fully compatible with the original hardware. Do you have an experience with that?
No, I did this only for Commodore 128. I talked to Maciej, which was the author of 64lib, to understand if that can be realized library that can be used by the same user.
Cicile, you need to mute. I will mute you. For some reason, you unmute.
So I didn't try it. I tried to work only with Commodore 128, but I don't know if in the future can done something different. I don't know at this time.
Okay, I see a question from Wilfried, a former speaker at All Talks. He says, "Great talk. Your library looks very interesting. Is it also possible to combine it with C?"
I don't know. I don't think at this time I will try to do this, but maybe in future, probably.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'm checking if there, if someone in the attendance here in the Zoom call have questions, don't hesitate. I'm just looking here if there is anything new. No. Okay, but if someone has questions later on, maybe you can still put it in the chat. Then I would say many thanks, Raffaele. I will stop the recording now.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I will call who's next. I think it's Cicile and Goodchip. Yes, who will tell us more about floppybattle.net. Now you can unmute, Cicile.
Okay. Hello. Hi, everybody.
Just wait a second. I will start the recording of this session.
Okay.
Yes, there you are.
Thank you. So we will share a slash shellboard about sorry. Okay. 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 So we okay. We will to talk about floppybattle.net. What is it? It's a virtual retro crossplay network. You can play with your old computer, and in the modern online experiences of famous games from childhood come true.
It was possible to show the keynote on the screen.
You can share your screen actually. Yeah? You're not sharing at the moment, but you can share if you.
Okay. So we will to try this in Zoom. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Now we can see your screen.
Nice. So we reloaded this now. So what is this though? So it's a future retro crossplay network. You can plug and play online with in null modern games. It's new experiences to play your famous game. So the concept
that's to make a new gaming experience.
Yes.
Playing or share out games again. And our project is for create a community about these new modern games.
So how it works? This device substitutes a new modem cable, and it's linking a real machine, and you can play everywhere but the web. After we had a new modem cable, so we made a new device called floppybattle.
It was a Wi-Fi device, but it was possible to use Ethernet device to reduce the latency, by example.
And this device make retro engineering for understanding protocol exchange. This required genius synchro.
It was very difficult to recreate synchro because the web technology is very dependent of latencies.
The old technology, the mule modem technology, have a very less latencies, and but it was very slow. But
with time, we up to testing many games, mule modem games. And we need to time many times for make this. How it is to play? It's really simple. It's easier in 4 steps. We need to connect in floppybattle.net. It's a device able to cross-platform. For example, we can bring Atari and Amiga on Lotus Turbo Challenge.
Or Battle Chess, or Populous, or Skate Marks, or lot of mule modem games.
So, what is the steps? Step 1, we need to make a hardware installation. You need to plug the dongle back on your old computer. Step 2, you need to insert the install disk and enter your Wi-Fi setup.
You can install the software on your hard drive, but if you not have a hard drive with floppy drive, the hardware is capable to configuring the dongle also.
And next step, you need to register on your web account.
You go to floppybattle.net website.
Yes, for registering your dongle. And next, you wait to bring a battle. For example, to launch a battle with another player, online player.
You select a game and you wait your opponent. Or if you have on the screen menu opponent, you can click to join the party, the battle, for play with this player.
And next, let's play online.
And we propose to show you in live a demonstration of floppybattle.net.
So we have 2 Amigas.
Can you show the webcam, please?
Sebastian, can I
think if you stop sharing and then I don't know, can you select a camera or you zoom in? Or?
Alors, arrêtez le partage. Hop.
Yeah.
Like this?
Okay. Just we launch on the 2 computer, two Amiga, the same game, Lotus Turbo Challenge 2. You can go to the menu. And Cicile,
I will to link with this mod.
and you start the game.
Yes, I will
Now.
start the game now.
And in my Amiga, I run the game again. And the Amiga was linked to the dongle, but not linked to the net, because for that
The server.
the server link is needed. And if you click on the website on your account, for example, I'm the first line. I click join, and
Next.
and we go. Ah. On a
C'est bon?
non.
Ah oui,
On va
il est
te remettre dans le-
Voilà. So we can make a little demo. I am the first.
And just for no playing, just
Just I'm.
for
If
the
you can see the screen, we can see that I am near of Goodchip, and he is here.
okay. And now
We can play online. So we have another gamer called One Vision. It's a in Amiga communities is a writer of Amiga news before, and he is here with him. So we will to go. We playing with. Tu peux te reconnecter, Ben?
Yes. C'est plus affiché. Ah, ça y est. Ok. Up. And on this screen, I waiting to play with One Vision. I run the game again, and tu ne touches plus à rien, hein, One Vision. And One Vision show your
dashboard.
show in your dashboard, and I click to join on his party.
And we will to go on playing with One Vision.
It was this.
Okay, bah, je peux faire échapper.
Oui, c'est ça.
So now Cicile and One Vision will playing this game.
C'est plus long parce qu'il a un top disquette.
Oui, c'est ça.
One Vision have a real Amiga with a floppy disk, but it was very more waiting for loading.
Ah, il est devant moi. So we will make, we can playing for the moment with floppy battle on Lotus, but you can playing on Battle Chess. You can make some party on Populous or Skinmark.
Skinmark, it was in a beta test, and many other game than.
Comment ça s'appelle déjà le truc pour se battre avec les mines.
Blitzbombers, a famous DP game again, and all new modern games is potentially
able to run with floppy battle. And this project is up.
Yeah, I think we'll,
Okay,
okay. Thank you, One Vision.
thanks. So it's for the moment it's a personal project. We have to this project will be able to up in commercial project in the future.
Or in an associative project,
Yes.
More than a commercial project.
Yes.
But
We have-
hardware is for sale or build up yourself your hardware. It was a option.
Yes. We have to make big communities around this project. So thank you for this meeting.
Thank you for watching, and coming soon,
The next step.
the next step.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Goodchip and Cicile. I have questions, but I see that there are questions here as well from Torbjörn. Where would the hardware be available? Yes, that's also a question for me, of course. So I think you just answered this question. You said that about this commercial availability, but you say as well that we can build it ourselves. Is it like open source? Can I find somewhere how to build it, or can I just is it already? Can we buy it from somewhere as well? Can we buy it from you? Tell us.
It was a very difficult question to answer because the model is not fully definite, but in the future, I think that the dongle, the hardware, it was a good idea from me to build up your hardware yourself, or share the plant to build up for many shops, because
Certification.
The certification is it was a very
Expensive.
very expensive because Wi-Fi frequency is in a project, but for the sources, for the first step, the sources it was closed because we want then make one big community and not many community for then that all player play ensemble together, and if the community is big,
we make the crowdfunding.
The plan it was to open the source in the future. For that, it was possible to go in the crowdfunding solution. It was in thinking for me.
Okay, but the platform is already available. What you are showing there, it's a kind of platform where you connect to. So that's a website. You connect, and then you see for example, your friend was waiting for you on that platform. That is something that you built yourself, right?
Yes, the hardware is built himself. but for diffusing, it was for share, it was more complicated to build commercially many dongles.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What are the next steps then?
The next step is make compatible many games to the solution. It was a big step because the timing and latency problem is very complicated task. But it was not an impossible task. This is a proof.
Okay, but I will definitely follow up and try to see what are, you know, when it becomes more available, etc.
We have a Facebook page on the Discord channel for followers.
And the website.
On the website.
Yeah, the website I know, and the web page I'm following already. Yeah, so it's floppybattle.net, and then the web page is the Facebook page is also called floppybattle.net, right? So that's easy to find for the people who are watching now. I think Dimitris, you have a question.
Yeah.
I have a few questions. I don't know how much time we have, but this was very inspirational. First of all, thank you very much for showing us this. This was really cool idea, I think.
Thanks.
My first questions were regarding the server part, I guess, because from what I understood, you have, of course, the two machines themselves that have the hardware connected, and they all communicate with a server where you have to log in, create an account, and then choose the game. So my first question was, does all the traffic go through the same server, or is that only needed to establish the connection? Because in other words, if I have two machines in the same house, in the same LAN, do they still need a connection to the server?
Okay, the topology of the network of Floppy Battle is many interfaces, dongle, connected to one game server, but this game server is capable to redirect a battle on other game server for reparting the charges on many game server.
Okay, so then you have regional servers, or the plan is to have at least regional servers? Because that was another question. You said you want to build one community around this, which is great. But what about different regions in the world then? Some people might be in the US, some people might be in Europe. The latency might be a problem in that case. Will you have regional servers?
It was easy to create many servers communicating himself in Europe, by example. It was possible to make many servers in America, but for latency reason, communicating into Europe and America, it was a question. Because we have not the response now, because we have not tried this possibility. But with Switzerland and France, it was possible because a friend, Guy Bosch, he is a beta tester of floppy battle solution, and it works very nice into 2 countries, but in the same continent, of course.
Will it be possible for people to host their own instances of this, similar to something like, let's say, Amiga Live? I don't know if you have seen that solution.
Alors, we know Amiga Live, but it's really different because we are on the old computer. Amiga Live.
It's the same but different.
Yes, it's the same on different.
Of course, my question
is
is regarding the server instances, not what it does. They are different things, of course. But I mean, in Amiga Live, for example, I can volunteer and set up a server here in Sweden, so the people in Sweden have really low latency when connecting to this instance. Is that going to be possible as well with your project? Server instances yourself. That's what I mean.
It was depending of game. For example, turn-to-turn game than Battle Chess or Populous. It was very easy to link up because the latency is not a problem.
The question, sorry, maybe I will interrupt. I will just translate it easily. La question de Dimitris, en fait, c'est de savoir si on peut soi-même être volontaire et monter soi-même son propre serveur. Par exemple, moi, je pourrais faire un serveur en Belgique, il pourrait faire un serveur en Suède.
Oui, ça serait possible plus tard si on ouvre la source. C'est même voulu, mais effectivement, il faut d'abord qu'on crée un minimum de communauté. Il faut que, voilà, il faut que le projet prenne une certaine ampleur pour pouvoir se permettre d'ouvrir, pour pas qu'il y ait plein de serveurs privés entre eux et que chacun fasse sa sauce et que.
Wait, let me translate because otherwise there is too much information. So the idea is yes, possibly in the future, not currently because they don't want to have like a differentiation into and not being spread between different servers and that people start to do their own things in parallel.
Okay.
But the idea is yes in the future.
And then, if I understood correctly, it's a fixed list of games that you maintain, essentially, right? That you can play through the system. So you have to beta test a game and add it in the list before somebody can play that game. For instance, if it's a game that supports no modem cable, it still needs to be added in the list in the server before I can play it, correct?
Yes.
I can't play any game I want.
Understand or
let me make it more specific. An example.
Maybe I will translate again if you allow. So
Apologize.
No, that's fine. Donc la question c'est de savoir si la liste de jeux est définie et en fait chaque fois vous devez retravailler un jeu ou bien le configurer le serveur pour pouvoir avoir un jeu. C'est pas comme si aujourd'hui je pouvais prendre n'importe quel jeu et jouer.
C'est presque le cas. Il faut qu'on développe pour chaque jeu. Mais l'algorithme que je développe est suffisamment généraliste pour que plus ça va dans le temps et plus on a de jeux et plus il est facile d'en rajouter d'autres.
Okay. So indeed, for the moment, adjustment is needed to be done for each game to be added, but the software they wrote is quite generic enough, and so they can easily add other games to the list.
Cool. One final question, if I have the time.
Yeah, go for it.
And since I am personally also interested in this, have you considered or have you tested it with any emulators as well? Meaning this could be integrated, since the emulators run on modern hardware, let's say a Raspberry Pi. It could use the Wi-Fi from the Raspberry Pi directly if it was built in the emulator as a functionality. So is that an idea that you want to explore in the future, perhaps?
The emulator or other solution is not in your plan actually, because Amiga Live running very well.
It's another philosophy.
It's a philosophy to connect a real old machine, a machine without hard drive, without network card or other recent hardware, is capable to run floppy battle. It was the motivation for use
Our computer with the new experiences of game.
Well, thank you. I think it would be an interesting idea in scenarios where you might want to connect, for example, an emulator with a real Amiga easily, and even if they are not in the same room. But sure, yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you need to get in touch, Dimitris, and see.
I think we need to talk later. Yes.
Try some feasibility. Yes. Good. I don't see more questions on Facebook. I think we have already quite.
Many thanks.
Yeah. Many thanks to you. Actually, I will stop the recording now.
Yeah.
And the next. Yeah. And the next speaker is actually you, Dimitris, with Amidon, a Mastodon client for AmigaOS 3.2. So if you're ready, then we are as well.
Go.
Just give me then 1 second. I will start the recording.
Hello. Well, I do feel a bit embarrassed now because Raffaele's presentation was very professional and I have prepared nothing similar to that. But I will do my best. So my name is Dimitris. I am a software developer. No PowerPoint slides for you today, I'm afraid. I'm mostly, I guess, known for my biggest project currently being an Amiga emulator for ARM devices, AmiBerry. It started its life on the Raspberry Pi and all that, but we're not going to talk about that today. What I want to show you today is another project I recently started, which started out almost as a joke. Well, you know, the recent trend of people moving to Mastodon, especially since the recent developments in Twitter. So there were a few mentions there about clients for different old or platforms that you normally don't expect to have modern software. Things like MS-DOS getting a Mastodon client or macOS Classic getting a Mastodon client. So when I saw that there wasn't any Amiga version of it, I first joked about it and said, well, we need an Amiga version, right? And everybody agreed, but since I saw nobody's actually doing anything about it, I thought maybe I should try it out and see what happens, and maybe I can do something about it. So it started out like that, and a few weeks later, I had a working prototype just to see how far I can take it and what's possible to do with that idea. And it has been slowly developing since then. I started the thing on using Hollywood. Hollywood is a developer system for Amiga, or actually multi-platform, which is easy to set things up and create prototypes and proof of concepts and see what you can do with it. It's not the best regarding performance or optimization or speed, for example, but it does get the job done. So I wanted to start quickly with something and just to see if I'm going to hit a roadblock really, really soon and won't be able to get it further than that. So for now, I do have a version I can show you. It's still a work in progress. It hasn't been released yet. When it's ready, it will be made available both on GitHub and also as a binary, of course, so anybody can take a look at it and improve it or fork it or whatever. And it's not, like I said, there will be bugs. It's not pretty completely finished, and it keeps evolving and changing. But I can show you what we have at the moment. And we'll see. I can share maybe the whole screen, so that way we can see. I have my favorite, or second favorite, Amiga VM here, WinUAE running. with a copy of my real Amiga environment in there. And I have Mastodon running on a browser on this side just to compare what's there. So Amidon is basically this little tool. It has no proper icon yet. That's coming at some point. And currently, I'm working on this layout. There are currently two layout options. I can show you the other one, but this is the one that has most of the work done so far. There are some settings here where you can define your server instance, the Mastodon server instance. You can use the login button to log in. The first time you start it up, I have already logged in there. You see my avatar in the background. And you have, for now at least, you have two GUI options, simple or advanced GUI. The simple one is the one you're seeing at the background. The advanced one, you have to restart the application to see it. Unfortunately, that's a Hollywood limitation. Looks like this. So the advanced one is basically modeled on the look and feel of the native website, where you have multiple columns and each column can contain different things. But like I said, this is the layout works here so far, but the content is not there. The buttons are not there yet. So this is sort of a work in progress, this version of it. So I will switch back to the other one and show you the things that actually work so far. So what can you do with this so far? You can post new messages here. For instance, something like this. And you can see while you're typing this text here, this fantastic text here, you also see, as you would expect, the character indicator there to go down. You can hit publish, and this goes out. And just proof that it does go out, you can go back here and you can see, well, if we open up my profile, I guess we can see our own tweets. This is it. Tags and all work as expected. So if this will automatically become a link and it will show you any reference of Amidon. That's nothing to do with the client. That happens on Mastodon's backend anyway. So you can post new things. These buttons are work in progress. They don't actually do anything, but eventually you will be able to add images, video, audio, or add a poll, as it says here, or change the post privacy. These are all talking to the API behind the scenes. So they will just do what they say. If you go to notifications, you can refresh this page and you will see a list of notifications like you would see here. You should see the same list of notifications. So it's again modeled on the same look and feel. So you have notifications, all kinds of notifications here, and mentions only. So if we go to mentions and refresh this one, you will see the same mentions that we see here. And you can select one of these. This is one area where things are not as pretty as the real thing, obviously, and that's due to limitations. I'm using the Magic User Interface for the toolkit here, and I can't really show you HTML inside that. There is some support for HTML, and that's also another bit of a pain because there is an HTML class in Magic User Interface called HTML View. The problem with that one is it doesn't really work with newer versions of the Magic User Interface. It only works up to version 3.9, but anything newer like 4 or 5, and it shows you no content. Fun times. So regardless, I have implemented a double click on this, which will open up in HTML view. So you will see the content formatted as it is. The version you see back here is plain text. So I'm stripping out HTML when I'm showing it into the list view to make it more readable. And if you double click on it, you will see the full thing, minus the image here. I'm not really sure why it's not showing. Still, this is something I added today, so I'll keep looking. And of course, the buttons here, these actually work. So if I select this and click on this one, will have all of them have tooltips. So again, they are in the same order as the ones on the Mastodon website. So they are reply, boost, favorite, bookmark, share, and which I haven't implemented, and more, which I haven't implemented yet either. So the ones you can actually see here are, again, reply, boost, favorite, bookmark, and more, which does nothing at the moment. But I can click on reply. It will take you here. It will automatically fill in the reply to, and you can write down your reply. Something like that, and publish that, and that will go out, and we can also see that. If we go here, and actually, no, I have to go to my profile and click on post replies. And you will see that this one was a reply to this one, which was a reply to this one, and so on. So that works. And in the same way, the favorite and the boost will work also. So this one currently is not marked as favorite, but I can click the button here and I can refresh the page and it will be marked, or it should have been marked as favorite. It doesn't work at the moment because I've been toying with this all day. One of the things I've been testing with, and it's currently in development, is that these buttons obviously should be a toggle button. So you can see when you select one, is it already marked as a favorite or not? And I was also testing adding the buttons in here. So when you double click on one, you don't have to go back if you want to reply, boost, favorite, or whatever. So that's the part that I didn't deploy out yet. So you don't really see implemented here, but that's the next step. As I said, there have been a lot of revisions in the look and feel and the functionality on this, trying to make it better and trying to make it easier to navigate and all that. These also work. So you will see the posts, the hashtags, news. And for you, these are the same links that you would see over here. And local, that's the local timeline. Federated timeline, again, the same thing. DMs, I don't think I have any. Oh, I do have some. Forgot about those. Favorites, you will get the list of favorites that you have. Bookmarks, if you have any. I don't have any. And lists, I don't have any. And friend requests, there is one that follow requests, sorry, not friend requests. So all of these actually work already. The things that I'm working on is improving the feeling of the actions, essentially, that you can take with these buttons and the content in here. That's the next step. Like I said, Hollywood is pretty easy to start with and it gives you a lot of functionality out of the box, but it's not the best for performance. So I would like to improve on those points, make it smaller in size and make it faster, but also possibly have more capabilities, because right now I'm also restricted with what the toolkit of Hollywood allows me to do. So my plan was to get this version somewhat working, get it out, published, so that people can play with it, and then maybe work on a new version, which would be based on C, now that I have all the backend already laid out. It's not hard to reuse a lot of the code that I have written and rewrite the whole thing in C from scratch, which should make it much faster. The reason I didn't do it in C from the beginning is that it would take me a lot more time to get something working, and I wanted to explore, is it even possible? Or are we going to run into something that absolutely doesn't work? Like, for example, there's no way to display this, or there's no way to do that in AmigaOS, and therefore it's a dead end. But from what I've seen, everything is possible, essentially, even if you have to make some compromises here and there. So we'll see. Depending on the interest, there might be a future version 2 of this that will be better, faster, and all that. We'll see. Yeah, I think that's a quick demonstration of how this thing works and what is there at the moment and what's not there at the moment. And hopefully there will be some questions and some interest, and we can take it from there.
Good, many thanks, Dimitris. Looks nice. I'm looking now on Facebook if there is any question. No, not at the moment. I don't know if anybody attending has any question. Otherwise, I have a few. No questions? Okay. Well, you already answered the language, because I was going to ask about C.
Yep.
But then, so at the moment, you're still developing this alone. Are you looking for teammates on that? Is so I suppose you have it on GitHub or somewhere, or is that available? Do you have the link shared somewhere?
Yep. For now, it's just me, and I haven't really given it enough time to. That's why it's moving slowly, like I said, because I also have a bunch of other projects to work with, and so this is like a part-time project. Whenever there is time to work on something, and I need to take a break from something else. But it's not huge in the sense that it needs a lot of people working on it either. So I think it's okay for now. The plan is to, like I said, open source it. I already have it on GitHub, but currently it's a private repository. Reason being that mostly because I keep changing things around, and I want to have a first version out before I make it public. So there is at least something that won't change too much after it's out there. And then if I get started on a new version, that will be again another open source project. Generally, I prefer working on open source projects. And people are, of course, free to join in as soon as this is made public and help out, or if they have different ideas and if they want to do their own thing, they can fork it and do that, like in all open source projects. What was the other question? You had another question.
I think you answered.
I think I answered all of them.
Yes, yeah. yes. But then I still have another one. When is it
regarding the link?
To
yes,
be released? No.
The link will be under GitHub's under Blitter Studio. I can show you that page already. It's not there. It's not visible there at the moment.
No, that's what you. Yeah, you said that it would be currently. It's a hidden.
This organization eventually. Well, it's already there, as you can see, but it's private.
Yeah. Okay.
So just need to switch it to public at some point.
Yeah. And by when do you expect the first release then?
I think it's not too far away now. And like I said, I think at the moment I need to fix this implementation about the pop-up here and add the same thing in the rest of the, once it's done. Currently, this only works in the notifications area. Add the buttons in here, add the same logic then into the next areas here. And I think for a first version, that would be good enough as soon as that works. So maybe a few more weeks. Depends on the time I can spend on it, really.
Okay, good. So that means once you have a fully working AmiBerry version for the Android, then there is already an Amidon client, a Mastodon client for it as well.
Oh, let's not go to that Android discussion. Just 2 more weeks, like the quote said, right?
Yeah. I'm looking again on Facebook. No more questions here. Anybody? Last chance. No, if you have a question that pops up, then you can always put it in the chat later on.
This is my Mastodon profile, so you can always find me there as well and throw any questions at me there as well if you want. Perfect. I'm also in other places, but that since we're talking about Mastodon here.
Good. Many, many thanks, Dimitris.
Thank you.
I will stop the recording now. And then coming up next is Jason with the PETSCII compositor tool. Jason, are you with us?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can see you now.
That's a bit of luck, yeah. I was having my dinner before. You didn't really want to see that. So.
It depends what you had. Maybe that's exactly, making us hungry.
Could have been a cookery show in the middle.
Good. I will. Yeah, I don't know if you want to start sharing something or not, but
yeah.
Okay, so I will start recording here. Yes, and then you can start whenever you want.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hello, I'm Jason Page. I've been asked if I would like to talk about a tool that I released November, maybe? I can't remember now. It's all a bit of a blur. A couple of months ago. It's in development for far longer than that. Probably a couple of years, just kept going back to it. Then forgetting what I wrote and then rewriting the same bit of code that I turned out I already had. And that kind of went on and on until eventually there was something to release. A little bit about who I am in case you care. I started playing around with Commodore 64 back in 1985. I was on CompuNet. I wasn't very good. at that point. But in 1988, I'd actually learned enough, and I worked at a company called Graphgold, a number of games like Rainbow Islands, blah, 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 all this sit there. And then I went on to Sony, where I worked there for 20 years. And by that time, I was kind of doing audio, really, making music, sound effects, but also doing the programming and the tools and everything else as well. I'm currently at a company called Unity, where I'm the audio director. But since about 2015, I kind of returned to the C64. I never forgot any of it. I still knew all the opcodes and everything else. But I had that time in between where there was so many times I think everything I was learning over the years that I felt if I could go back in time and do it all again, all the things I know now, you know, I could do such a better job. And that was both with the programming and the music and everything. And then, of course, the scene is still there. I didn't really know that, in the whole CSDB area and so on and so forth. So it is kind of like going back in time and getting a chance to do this all again and to make up for all the really stupid mistakes I was making back then. And hence I'm still writing demos, writing tools and creating music. Anyway, let's move on to this tool. So yes, the PETSCII compositor. We're going to cover who, what, why, when, how. I'm not going to go too deep into the code, more just overviews of the methods that I used that are behind the code. So what is it? It's a tool that creates C64 PETSCII images from other images. Those who don't know, PETSCII is the 64 character sets. It allows the user to make artistic decisions in real time, and it allows you to take the best bits from each conversion into your final image, as it says down the bottom, and hopefully it doesn't crash, because it's been known to play up normally when I'm presenting it to someone. So, you know, I'll just fire it back up if it does, and we'll just pretend that never happened. So the whole image thing, even though I do audio mainly, I'm kind of dabbled quite a few times, really, especially with C64 in image conversions and PETSCII and so on. There was a Ben Daglish demo where I did an awful tool that converted the pictures on the left. The Turrican music that I did for Rise of the Machine for Chris Hillsbeck, I kind of did a tool that ripped that out of something else and converted. And then there was a demo I wrote called Threshold. Now that's not PETSCII, but it is converting something like, must be about 64 images, maybe even 128 different images, all two color, monochrome color images, and it converts them all down to one character set. So you get this animation and these images like the picture on the right there, but I got all of that down to 256 characters. So I was kind of, the more I was doing, the more I was kind of getting more interested in sort of image compression and conversion and all that sort of thing, and making sense of it all. I was basically just making lucky accidents and trying things out, and then working out what I was coming up with was a really bad idea most of the time, and somebody else had already invented the same algorithm in a far better way 20 years earlier. So, you know, that's basically how I've done most things in my life. So why make it? Well, there are obviously lots of tools out there, if it's converting to ASCII, if it's converting to PETSCII or whatever it is, for taking images and changing them into character sets. Most of them, from what I could see, and I could say all, but I don't know because I kind of gave up looking after a very short amount of time. I've got a very short attention span. I couldn't find what I wanted, so I decided I'd have to write my own. But most of them weren't that great for allowing for creativity. Essentially, especially for the like command line tools, for example, you would, you know, type in something to convert the image to a PETSCII file. You would view that on Vice or on 64, whatever. If it was okay and you're happy with it, great, it's done. Otherwise, you would go and modify the parameters, whatever it allowed you to do, tweak a number, try again, see what comes out of it. And because it was all just on command line and so on, you don't really know what the effect is. Or if you've just typed in 0.6 instead of 0.5, you don't know what the 0.55 or 0.59 and so on and so forth might have offered to you as a result, and it could have been far more what you wanted. And that I found frustrating, that I didn't really know what I wanted. I wanted a lucky accident, but I wanted to see it in a far more instant way. So that's what I set out to do. So yeah, as I said, it's all about finding the sweet spot with that taking that in mind. The parameters you can change are normally there to improve the detail in certain areas. So you can have a picture where the PETSCII process has made something really blocky in one area, but another area it might have done a perfect conversion, and you can see some really nice detail using the C64 character set. What it normally happens though is you'll see one area which looks great and another area which might be appalling, and you change the values and suddenly it swaps around, and you can get some trying to find some values in all of these things where the whole thing just looks as you want it. Doesn't really happen. And again, like I said, it was more about luck than judgment, which I'm happy to do if I can just change things quickly to get the results I want. It's kind of like, if anyone knows anything about like a synthesis, if you've got one of those analog synths with all of the controls and you're just making stuff up, the whole point is it's lucky accidents. You kind of know what they do, but you're just messing about, having fun, being creative until you get something which you think that's what I want. And that's really what I wanted to write as a tool, something that actually made it into a fun toy more than anything else. So yeah, my overall goal for this was to create a tool that allowed you to create PETSCII, and it had to be in real time. I wanted instant visual feedback on what I was doing, and I wanted to be able to take the best bits from any conversion into a final image. As I said, doing a conversion and finding that it does a really nice job of converting a face, but the hands look awful, then fine, I'll do two conversions and take the hands off one and the face off the other and put them together. And that's where the name come about. That's why it's a compositor, because essentially it allows you to do as many different shots as you like and then just put in the final parts or the different parts into a final image. Rather than having to make AI somehow know what you want and do a perfect job. So it's essentially the same steps as what we were looking at before with the command line, but all wrapped up into one sort of easy to digest bundle. How did I do it? I wrote it in .NET. It's a Windows application only. Sorry to everybody who isn't using Windows only, which turns out is most people. When I released a tool the other year, GT Ultra, that's when I got lots of people saying where was the Linux version. It's kind of what I know, which is why I use it, and I don't know it so well that I can write it all perfectly with it, but it's something where I feel comfortable in getting an app up and running in Windows. I write it in C#. A lot of that is because I've spent so long at Unity now that I know C# quite well, and also I don't have to worry about memory management. It's very fast for just allowing you to load in buffers of data, to move through that data and so on and so forth without having to worry about mallocs and where the memory is going and so on. It just does it all for you, which is nice. And things like if you go over the end of a buffer, it will complain rather than just letting you do that, and then you'll be trying to find a bug for the next however many months down the line. So it's just quick and easy for me. As I said about the real-time thing, so I wanted to make it that you can select any area of an image that you load in, that it handles any file format to load in, or any being most maybe. I wanted a fast-ish PETSCII conversion. You don't want to sit there waiting half an hour for something to happen. The final images, as I said, being able to mix them all together and adding in some artistic license there as well for other features, for messing around with the colors, for messing around with the character sets and so on. So I knew I wanted to add some features, but I never wanted to be a fully fledged character editor. I didn't want to go down that route. I think as soon as I start trying to add too many things in, I just can't then move away onto other topics. People keep wanting more and more features. So I had to find ways to say when to draw the line and say, that's it, now it's ready to release, and I might not ever go back to it. Saying that, I've got lots of ideas of things to add in, so I probably will, but yeah, that wasn't the plan. So let's take a look at it now. I'll swap the window over to 5 seconds. Just press the right button there. Hopefully you can see what I can, otherwise this is going to get rather embarrassing. So this is the tool up and running. The top left window is an image I've already loaded in. the middle image at the top is the selected area that's been selected to be converted into PETSCII. You can see in the top left as well, the image has been, there's a rectangle that's in blue, which is semi-transparent, that highlights that same area. On the top right is the image being converted to PETSCII. And the bottom is the final image. Now, as you can tell there, the top and bottom images are the same, but they don't necessarily have to be. I'll show you more about that later on. And yeah, like I said, the idea was to make it quick. So you load in an image. Here I've just selected that area to show the wizard, but I could say I just want to really just see the wizard's hat or his face in general. So I can just literally move around, click where I want, let go of the button, and there's the PETSCII generated. So you can see exactly what you're going to get and when. Now I could look at the whatever that's going to be, and there's the PETSCII conversion, and so on and so forth. So it's nice and fast, shows you what you're doing, and that was important. Now the PETSCII conversion itself is quite. There is a delay. If you see when I do that, if I release the button, I'll say when I do it, but there's about a half a second, if not a second delay now there. So there is a delay in between the two. And so I had to run everything on a separate thread. So I've got the one thread which is just showing the image, and it's only when I let go of the button, does the mouse button, does the PETSCII conversion happen. But that means that you're not having to see a stuttery image and everything getting caught up in the CPU as you're trying to convert, and so on. So that's basically how it works with regards to selecting. If I go back and select the wizard again a bit better, then we can see, oops, let's do that. So there. Under here, we've got some other controls, which I'll talk about more about what they do later. But for example, you've got something called alias, something called brightness. If I mess around with them again, you'll see the PETSCII image itself change. Brightness obviously has a much larger effect on the brightness of the image. And this is where I was saying about these magic numbers. You can tell, you know, I've had to round them off to at least 4 decimal places here, but slight tweaks to the numbers make slight differences on the image. And sometimes you want more details in some areas. Sometimes you want more blockiness and to make it really pad out, and so on and so forth. And there's no right answer there. It depends on what you want to do and how you want to do it. As you can see down here, we have the C64 palette, and in the middle at the bottom is the whole character set, and I can change that between the uppercase character set or the lowercase, which has a different effect. Obviously, when it's done that conversion to PETSCII, it's done it trying to find the characters in the set at the time. So that was created with the uppercase character set. So if I change it to lowercase, it suddenly doesn't look that great down the bottom because it wasn't created trying to find those characters. So if I'd have to do create PETSCII again, if I click on that button, it should do it. It hasn't, but let's just pretend it had. So this is basically what the tool does. I'll go back and talk a bit more about how it does it. I'll show you some of the more of the features later. So the PETSCII conversion is in 2 stages. First of all, it has to convert the image into the character map, and then it converts the image into a color map. And those are the 2. If you saw in the last, when we were going through the tool, you could see both of those images in the bottom corner. The wonderful thing about when I've done screen grabs of this is that they've gone and aliased the images, which is not what it should look like. So, and probably find Zoom is doing a great job of also then aliasing things even further. So some of this you're going to have to take my word for it about the actual process, because it probably doesn't match what you're seeing. So the color map conversion, let's just talk about that quickly. So that converts an image. Basically, as soon as you select an area, that's going to convert that area to a 320-200 C64 size screen. From there, you need to convert that down to a 40 by 25 color map of characters, one for each character on the screen. And it does that by looking for the most common color in each 8 by 8 pixel area on the screen, and to find the closest C64 color. the most common, if that's the background color, then we ignore that and we use the second most common instead. Because if you're just going to say the most common is the background color, then suddenly you'll see if it sets that character to, for example, to black, if there was some detail in there, it's going to be black as well, so you'll lose the detail. So you sort of say, well, the most common is the background color, but if there was one pixel set in there, I'll want to use that color instead, and that will be the second most common color. So you kind of have to make a bit of a decision to make sure you don't get just a lot of stuff fill with the background. And that's a way just to show more detail as well. Finding the closest color was actually simple. Like, it was one of those things, again, you know, I come from audio thinking, oh, I'm going to learn all this graphic stuff, and I just realized it's kind of very simple Pythagoras. So it's basically exactly the same calculations if you were trying to calculate the distance between 2 points in 3D, where you're just replacing the X, Y, Z with RGB instead. And there's the formula there, but like I said, it's just very simple maths. And that just gives you literally the distance between 2 points, between the color on the screen and the RGB value for red, for example, in C64 color palette. And you go for all 16 colors with calculating that pixel to the closest point. And that's how you work out. And then all I do then is increase a counter for each of those C64 colors for the one that's closest. And then once I've done that for 64 pixels, it's the one with the highest value. That's the one which is the closest color. And then the one with the second highest value, that's the one which is second closest, and so on. So it's kind of a simple process. It's not always quite as simple. I found that a lot of times I was getting grays. Dark grey seems to get picked a lot as something when it doesn't really get the color right. And this was happening even in this image here. The image you could tell looked like it was already I was converting a C64 image to C64, which is kind of cheating. But it wasn't, because the color palette that it was using wasn't C64 colors. It did have a limited color palette, but they weren't purely the same RGB values. And this happened quite a lot through my different tests. So I added a feature into the tool where you can see in the palette, there's the main color at the top, which is the C64 RGB colors. And even that, you find so many different websites with different values telling you what to use. So trying to find one which I felt matched what I was seeing on my 64 was also fun. But underneath is the color which it's using to actually search for. So in this example, I've already had to tweak the red to be more vibrant for when it's trying to find a matching C64 red. In the editor, it's actually very simple. It says, let's see if it works or not. So all I'd have to do, for example, is click on that strip down the bottom, and it's now flashing. You may see the outline is flashing. And all I do then is pick a pixel off this image, and that's what it will use as its target for red. I could really do something silly and say, well, let's just give it a blue instead, light blue. So I'll click on the image where I want. As you see, it's changed that to blue. It's then done the PETSCII conversion and changed everything over for what it was trying to find into blue instead. So how do I change it back? There we go. So that's just changed it back to that. And it changes everything, because that's how it looks when it's trying to find the actual dark red. The closest color it then says that the vibrant red is, it says is the actual pink instead, number 10 instead of number 2. And that's why you have to tweak it and give it a little helping hand. So it's actually finding the right color for you, because otherwise the brightest red it thinks the closest RGB match is actually pink. So there's little things like that where you can go and tweak, and that's why it's great doing it in a tool like this rather than as a rather than some sort of command line tool where you don't really have that control, or especially that instant control. So hopefully that makes sense. So moving on to the character conversion. Again, we scale the image from the 320-200, scale the main image down to 320-200. Then there's a number of steps. First, we convert that image into grayscale. And then we convert that grayscale into a dithered monochrome image. The grayscale, there'll be, say, 256 different shades of grey, from black to white, making up the picture. And then you convert that grayscale to a dithered monochrome image where you've literally only got black or white, but 0 or 1 per pixel. And it's that image you can then use to try and find the closest PETSCII character. And again, this picture here, though, I think it's probably gone, oh, I'm going to nicely stretch that out for you and add some grazing to anti-alias it. So the image I'm showing there isn't actually what the data is within the system, but let's pretend it is anyway. So it's the dithering, which means you literally, that's where you've got some nice data and you've just got zeros and ones to compare with more zeros and ones in the other character set that you're comparing it to. So yeah, then if at that point it splits that image into, again, 40 by 25, the same as the characters, the number of characters on the screen on the C64. It can apply anti-aliasing to thicken the character. I'll talk about that a bit more later. And then it finds the closest PETSCII character for each of those characters. So that's kind of the process it has to go through, do everything. So the dithering, as I said, I don't know how this is showing on your screen, because again, I know how Zoom can really be helpful here. But this is really what I'm using. I'm using the Floyd-Steinberg algorithm. So the image on the left is the original. I stole this from this website above, by the way, which explains it probably far better than I can. And it converts this coloured image into something which is, again, just two different colours, black and white, and it's dithered. And even if it's the same colour, even if it's kind of one pure screen of, say, a certain intensity of grey, it will still have pixels all over it. And that's what means when you're converting those over to PETSCII, you still get details, which you wouldn't otherwise. That's what makes the difference. So how do I find the closest character? I use the subtraction method. So for example, in this one, we've got a character B and a character C. And if you literally take away one pixel from another and get the absolute value of that, it leaves you with a pattern like you see on the right hand side. So for example, the pixel which is the second down, that's because this is literally the difference between the two. This pixel is only in B, these three at the top here are only in C. So you end up with essentially a mask of the difference between the two characters. And for each time you go through the character and whatever that shape is that you've got from the original picture, you score it. So here, for example, I'm just adding the number of pixels which are still set together, and that gives you 12 pixels. If I did the same with L, again, this is the difference then of taking one image away from the other, you get 7 pixels different. So you know then that just in that comparison, if you're going to replace a B with either an L or a C, L is more likely to look like B. And that's pretty much how you do the finding the closest PETSCII character. There's other ways as well where you can split the character up into zones and do the same kind of thing in smaller areas to get a better result. I can't even remember if that's what I implemented or not, because I kind of just kept changing it until it did what I want. And as I said, I normally evolve doing that lots and then finding out that my solution is close, but not even as good as what somebody else has already done 20 years ago. So that's how I operate. But that's basically the process. The brightness and alias controls that I was messing around with in the tool. So brightness will scale the grayscale brightness before the dithering process. So it's converted the picture into grayscale, and that brightness control scales that grayscale brightness. So essentially it reduces the number of dithered pixels. It has the effect on the dithering process at that point. Now, alias is what I was talking about, where you can thicken the image. So what it really does is where you might have the character B, it starts bringing in more detail or more aliasing around that character. And then it's more likely to find matching characters. So it reduces the detail in the final image, but that might be what you want. A lot of the time you want something to really be blocky and to give it like the color, and then you want more detail in certain areas. So that's kind of a useful, those two controls kind of you get a lot of purchase from just doing those two things. So again, this aliasing example, if I had this bitmap, just had these 2 pixels set in this top left image, the closest PETSCII character it would find is emptiness. It's just a space, nothing set, because there's no character that just has those 2 set. and the closest one would be the space. But if you added up all the different, if you subtracted all the different characters, the closest one will come out with this space. Whereas if I aliased it, the closest one would then be a full stop or period, because it's then starting to get the data from the character, from the pixels next to the original image, and it would find the full stop instead. Again, I'd have to use then the second closest color, because the most dominant color would still be the background color. So you use the second closest color, and that's what you display a full stop instead, period instead. So that's where the aliasing can help you get more details out of the image, because it's less accurate, but also it can find a few more choices to actually display. I'll go back and show you some of the other features, and then we'll talk about what I was doing. Nearly there actually, but I'll show you some other features of what it does. So I'll actually show you that image actually. So this is another classic image which has been used quite a lot for doing PETSCII conversions, mainly because it does a very good one anyway. But there's things like, for example, I could grab just around the eye, and there's the conversion there. Then why is that still doing that? Sorry, it's got to. That's better. And you can see the detail it gets, especially around the eye with the line around it and so on. I mean, that's pretty good. I'll be quite happy with that. But then if you look at the actual original, or at least the selected area in the middle, you see there's a lot more detail in the iris and the eye itself. It's not so blocky. So what you can do is you can start messing around with these values, bringing down the brightness, bringing down the. That's probably too much, but let's just go with that because it's kind of showing what I want. You can see you can start getting more and more detail. Now, what it really, this is where the compositor part comes in. If you see now, I'm in the bottom right side, but you can also see a cursor in the top panel in magenta, showing where I am. And what I can do is just there's something here in edit mode called trace, and that's selected at the moment. It will take the character and the color from the top image, and I can just press the button and draw that on for the bottom one, and it will copy these settings only along. Same way as I prefer some of the eye detail, so I'll just do the same there. I'll take that eye detail from the top image, and maybe the magenta line looks a bit nicer or a bit finer around there. I'll just copy that, and that's where you suddenly start being able to take an image, mess around with it, add a bit more detail in from just by messing around with parameters and then copying them across. And that's kind of where I think it really, this is what I wanted. You know, this is where I really wanted the tool to be able to go beyond just doing straight PETSCII conversions, but having something a little bit more my control to be entertaining and fun and come up with something which matches what I hoped it would do. You can also enable and disable characters. So for example, I could allow it only to make things out of, let's just pick that middle row there. And this top one here again, that's where the work is. So this is just made out of those characters. I could say, let's just have space, but only allow numbers, just for a laugh, see what happens there. And again, it's using the same algorithm just to find out. You can get some nice effects by doing that, just by picking things like the circles and so on, or the different parts of the lines, these things here, for example. So see what that does. And straight away you can see what sort of results you're going to get. And if I really wanted, then I could pull them in from the top image to the bottom. I don't know why I'd want to, but you get the idea. You can really sort of copy what you like from one image to another. And that's where it becomes its own. Other things I've got is if I wanted to, let's just enable it all again, why not? I could remap colors. So I could say his eye is green. So I can click on green, but I say I want to make all things green, yellow. And I click on green, then I click on yellow, and then it just remaps the colors. So then if I did this down here, I'd take yellow part instead. So it's very fast for doing things. Hope that explains it a bit better. So let's go back again. So that was the tracing. That was the part. I think having that control over literally per character, what you're doing, and also had options. You could either just copy the character, copy the color, or copy both in that way when you're tracing. I didn't want to make it into a fully fledged editor though. There's other tools like PETSCII, some of the other ones are really good at what they do. And it felt silly me trying to just add in all the features they've got and probably not do a job that was quite as good anyway. And to be honest, it did what I wanted, and I kind of wanted to move on to something else. So what I did is made sure that the export format, it would export into a number of formats that are common. Now, PETSCII itself doesn't seem to have a standard format. There's just a number of which seem to be used by more people than others. So I made sure it exported to PETSCII and to the PETSCII format. And then if people wanted to continue editing those pictures in any other way, they can go and do that on another someone else's tool. That just seemed easier for me. And what else? Yeah, also I did add options to save as PRG. C64 just created a small assembly file to just to display the picture, set the colors in the border and the screen color and so on, and that was it. That kind of wrapped it all up at that point. But yeah, the whole point is I didn't really want to get into a stage where I just kept adding more and more things to it. So I just thought if I just make sure it exports to a format that somebody else can then handle all the questions later rather than me. There was another dilemma, which was should I release it or not? I had this also another tool I wrote that converted SID music back into its original goat tracker and cheese cutter formats a number of years ago. But, I didn't want to. I admire the people who do this properly and the artists that can really make these things look brilliant. And there's no way my tool makes it look as good as their artwork. So what I did was I released images of what it was creating and also videos of the tool on PETSCII Facebook groups to gauge feedback. And if anybody was coming back saying this is awful, this shouldn't be allowed, I think this is disgusting, I probably wouldn't have released it because that wasn't my intention. My intention was really to make this for me, for my own demos and so on. But it got quite the opposite actually. I had a lot of people with a lot of interest, a lot of enthusiasm about it. I also asked some friends of mine, Steve86 and Trevor Story, who does a lot of great C64 artwork still today, what they thought, and if they thought I should release it or not. And they were again positive. They said, yeah, go for it. So I did. But yeah, I must admit it was something where I had to think about if this was the right thing to do or not. But yeah, I did anyway. So yeah, it is released on CSDB. I was learning as I was going along with this tool. It was always, stuff which I'd never really done before, but interested me. And the more I kept going, especially with the functionality and making it feel more like an artist tool and a really quick fire to get changes, to get results, the more I kept having to change things and rewrite things in a better way. So it was kind of a fun project to work on. And yeah, I was just glad it didn't crash when showing it to you. So thanks very much. That's all from me. Well,
thanks very much indeed. That's a really, really, really nice tool. I think we are a bit over time, I would say, but anyway, I think we have some time for questions. I'm looking on Facebook. I don't see any question. I had actually quite some question. I keep noting them, but then you were answering them, like the converting process and the formats, etc. Maybe one thing I was thinking about was so you are using now the default character set, but it's also possible to, of course, to create a separate character set. Is that possible then to import it in your tool, or how would that work?
It's actually something I'm thinking of adding. Trevor Story, when I asked him about what he thought about the tool, the first thing he said is, can you make it create your own character set, and can you give it your own character set? So yeah, that's two things I'm looking at. One would be to take in another character set for it to convert to, but also another would be to find the most common 256 characters from the image in the first place and make a user-defined character set to best show that image in the first place.
Okay. Good.
So even though I said, yeah, I'm not going to do any more, I've already got a list of things that I'm slowly
yeah, that when you showed as well, you explained the process for the finding the closest PETSCII, and you're using this subtraction, which is then I guess you have implemented it fully yourself, but you could possibly use some kind of image recognition library and just import it. Maybe that would make the code more heavy or something, but that could be some possibility. Maybe it would be interesting to see how does it compare, or something like that.
Yeah, there was definitely something where the more I kept looking at different algorithms and what other things might be using, the more decisions I had, and eventually I just had to think, no, I'll go with this one. If it looks good, I'll leave it alone. You know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Then the link, but that you have shown. Maybe you can show it again. I didn't have it on the agenda on the website, so I will definitely add it.
It's on CSDB. If you just do a search on CSDB for PETSCII.
Okay. It's also recorded here, so it's just to make sure that other people can still see it, and also we still have quite a few people watching live on Facebook, so they can maybe also just copy it. Well, not copy, but just retype it from here. So now it's released. Do you know anybody who would be using it to, like, I don't know, build a kind of PETSCII-based game or something?
No, I don't. But I think that's kind of always the nice thing about these tools, in a way, that you don't know who's using it. I was trying to think of ways that I could encode things into the image to be able to search into other people's PETSCIIs to see if I could find, you know, something. And I'm sure there is ways. I'm sure I could use like the color codes and have somewhere in the image where I could, you know, pull that information out. But to be honest, I wasn't that fussed about it. It's something where people can use it if they want. It's not on GitHub yet, but I will put it all up there eventually. There's probably far too many swear words in the code at the moment for me to release as is. But yeah,
that was my next question, so I can strike it. Good.
Yeah, it's on its way, but that's normally that's when you get a lot more support questions coming in, people wanting a lot more features. So I purposefully not put it on GitHub yet.
Yeah, you think that when you put it on GitHub, then it's over, but actually it's just starting then.
Yeah, that's when it really kicks off.
Good. I don't see more questions on Facebook. I don't know if amongst the attendees, is there anybody with more questions? No. Maybe if they come, then people can put it in the chat. I will stop the recording now. Thanks very much.
Cool. Thank you,
Jason. And then coming up next then is Gianluca with the unified keyboard for Amigas.
Yes, here we are.
Yes, just wait a second. I will start the recording as well. Yes, now you can go.
Okay. I had a lot of problems in the last days, so my presentation will not be like the other ones. So I apologize my poor quality on the presentation. By the way, I am first a quick introduction. I am Gianluca Renzi. I'm a Retrobit Lab guy, tech guy. I am a hardware and software engineering in a company building electronic boards and human interface devices like touch screens and something like that. So I'm very in this kind of job from last 25 years. So
sorry to interrupt, Gianluca, but if you want to share something, you're not sharing.
Yeah, yes, I'm trying to share.
Okay. So sorry, then I don't say anything. Just continue. Sorry.
Okay. Now I'm sharing my presentation. Here we are. Okay. Let's go. 5 years ago, I started working with my old Amigas, and I have 5 Amigas computers in my house, and all of them are not working keyboards. So I started to practicing soldering and repairing them on the Mylar on the PCBs and other. I've lost a lot of keycaps during my washing and retrobrighting and other stuff like that. So I was thinking about to recreate something from the scratch, something more modern and as a drop-in replacement for the keyboard. So right now, I know there are some issues with Amiga keyboards, and obviously they are old. They are 30 years old. A lot of keycaps are yellow right now, and a lot of membranes are made by low quality by Commodore to keep the cost, the price down. And it's only a matter of time when they will stop working. And if you, like me, are in a battle with the keycaps and you lost something in the process, maybe you are forced to pay a lot of money for a recreation of the keycaps, like we saw in the last years from crowdfunding world, and or even in eBay, you will find a very high prices keycaps. And if you want to replace the keycaps with the actual standard keycaps, you cannot do it because the stems, the type of the keycaps are different from the late 90s since now. So you cannot use the standard keyboard like we are going to use today. So I hope, okay, so as I told you, I have two Amigas 500, one Amiga 4000, and a couple of Amiga 1200. So I tried a lot of way to retrobrighting them and to improve their quality, but I was not able to do in the way I wanted to. So I tried everything, even the sun bath in my house during summer, but it didn't work. It worked for a couple of months, then the yellow came back. So I think this is not the right way to do the stuff. So I started to rebuild a PCB for the mechanical keycaps, especially for the Cherry MX switches, with the modern style, as I already did for my other 8-bit computers, like my Atari XE computers. I replicate all of them in 3D printing and the new keycaps and new PCBs. So I know how the keyboard works. Having 3 types of Amiga, I didn't want to do 3 PCBs in a different manner, and I want to merge all the projects in one place. So I try to keep the measurement, the sizes with the caliper and other stuff, technical stuff like that. And I saw that Amiga and Commodore did common keyboard for all its computers. So every computer's Amiga 1000 and Amiga 600 apart, they share the common mechanical keyboards, more or less. For example, on the Amiga 1200s, you don't have the microprocessor unit on the keyboard because it's you have a flat cable to go into the motherboard, like the Amiga 600, and the Amiga 1000, because if it's the first model, they changed the keyboard layout in Amiga 500, and they keep the same layout for all the models, Amiga 400 and 4000 and 2000 and 3002. And this is there are only one little difference between those models, and they are the LED positioning and numbers, because as you already know, Amiga 1200 has 3 LEDs like Amiga 600, and the Amiga 500 has 2 LEDs, and the other Amiga external keyboards like Amiga 4000 and the other big box Amigas, they don't have any LEDs on the keyboard except for the caps lock key, LEDs, sorry. So I am trying to, actually I'm already done a couple of prototypes, and I have a complete complete the PCB with let's say a plate, aluminum plate, to keep the keycaps, the switches in the right positions. So it's like a sort of a sandwich between the PCB and the plate. So now I'm changing I'm stopping the sharing, and I changing the source of the video. So here there are my prototypes. Those are the empty PCBs, and those are the aluminum plates. So the result is over here. This keyboard, as you can see, if you remember on Amiga 37 in Germany, Sebastian, you were seeing this one. This is a complete the first prototype. It's I mean, I was looking for compact version, but I didn't get so much to meet my requirements that I need a numerical keypad, and I want to have a more like a full-size keyboard. But the full-size keyboard must be able to fit inside the garage of the Checkmate case for the keyboard, and in the same time the keyboard must be usable by 1000 Amigas. So the garage must be in the same size, more or less. So this is the new USB keyboard I've designed it. I don't know if you can see it. Wait a minute. This is the new keyboard. It's a full-size keyboard with a slightly different layout, and it works for the Amiga for the side, and it is usable by anyone who want to use this kind of keyboard with my new project.
If you can
this
remove
is a
the
standalone
back,
project.
If you can remove the back that is just in front, more or less very close to the camera.
Just a minute. I move everything.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So this is the keyboard itself.
Yeah, super nice.
As you can see, this is a USB keyboard over here. And if you plug the keyboard, wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Okay, did you see? I don't know why the webcam is stopping working. Wait a minute, I try to. Okay, now it's working. As you can see, the keyboard is as a LED underside. The LEDs can be programmed by a combination of keycaps, like a lot of projects in internet. I was starting using a special PCB for the firmware, and the firmware is based on the QM key or TM key firmware for the keyboards. For example, if I press this kind of combination, I can do a lot of look at this, okay, moving colors and other stuff like that. I don't like the LEDs on the keyboard anyway. So this is my latest stuff, and this keyboard can be used. I changed the camera. This keyboard can be used by anyone who wants to have a USB keyboard on their Amiga, but with another product I show you on Amiga 37, I can use this keyboard and the PCB you saw them in the real Amiga machines, like Amiga 2000, 3000, 4000, 100, and so forth. Using this adapter, I call it Stalker. This adapter is a very powerful adapter. Is a USB adapter. You have to plug the keyboard over here, and the microcontroller is acting exactly like MPU on the Amiga side, having those kind of connectors for programming the flash memory over here. You can have this kind of connector to have a special cable to go, for example, in the Amiga 1200 or Amiga 600, and here you have the common Amiga 1000 connector, RJ10, I think. And in that way, you can use this kind of board externally instead of putting into your Amigas, and using this kind of plastic case. I 3D printing this one, so it's a 3D printed case. You can, I hope you see, everything can be installed easily like this. So this is the final product, and you can use this kind of adapter if you have an Amiga 1200 or 600, and you can use this kind of adapter if you are using Amiga 500. And in this case, you can connect directly the Amiga 1000, and if you have Amiga 4000 or 3000 and 2000, you need a special adapter from this to mini DIN connector, round connector with 5 or 6 pins. In that way, this kind of hardware can be used to connect to the Amiga, and the other way, you have the USB. You can use this keyboard or any keyboard you want, because as soon as they have the right protocol, you cannot use another PS2 keyboards, for example, or something like PS2 keyboards with a USB adapter, because the protocol is not so standard. So I'm using this kind of keyboard or another keyboard like this. This is a normal PC keyboard. There's a mechanical keyboard, and this is the latest project I done. So I can continue with the sharing. Wait a minute. So here we go. Wait a minute, start from the beginning. I'm starting the project when my old Amiga 1200 were broken on the keyboards. So I was forced to deploy a new adapter for my keyboard, because I didn't want to buy anything from the Amiga dealers, not because of the prices of the technology, because I wanted to do by myself. It's my job to do stuff like that. So I'm able to do stuff like that by myself. And I put everything in open source GitHub repository. So everyone can use my stuff and changing the way they are using their Amigas. And for example, in the Amiga world, there are PS2 keyboards or SUM adapters, and a lot of those adapters are targeted by Amiga 600 instead of 1200, instead of 4000, and so forth. My project is for all the Amigas in one place. So this is the board you have just seen. This is the GitHub repository for the Stalker. And as you can see, I on the left there are the connector for the Amiga 4000, and I showed this project in Amiga 37 in Germany last October. The project is maybe finished. I'm waiting for the carton box for shipping the boards, and I'm already having pre-orders. If you want to do by yourself, you can do it, because it's open source on GitHub. The Gerber files are ready, and the only thing you have to do is soldering the stuff by yourself and programming the microcode in the processor. All this kind of firmware is open source, and you need a tool chain just for cross compiling for the STM32 processors. And in my boards there are bootloaders. So it is activated by a special cable, and you can reprogram the board using a standard STM32 programmer. And the keyboard I show you is a full-size keyboard in 96 keys layout. It's very heavy. I put the metal part inside to keep it heavier than the normal keyboard, because I like the keyboard is to be steady on the desktop and not flying around. And the keyboard and the keycaps are in three colors. The keys are white or black, and the keycaps are white and beige, or white and gray for the modifiers keycaps. and or all blacks like the CD32 or CD-TV. Now I'm sharing the other project. Wait a minute. Share. Okay, I want to share. Where are they? I don't know. I've lost a lot of stuff. Wait a minute. Maybe no. Maybe this one. Desktop one. Desktop two. Okay, this one. So I'm sharing this. I hope you see. Do you see? No, it's not this one. Stop share. Share. Desktop. Oh, wait a minute. So this one. Do you see this one?
For the moment, I see your camera.
I lost. Okay, so it's better that I do for, maybe this one is better. Anyway, here we go. Here we go. Here. So this is. Have you see? Do you see something? Okay, this is the beige prototype. This is the all black prototype. As you can see, I have the F function keys for the Amiga layout on the real Amiga keyboard, and the side is like this for the new Amiga keyboard, USB keyboard. So this kind of keycaps can be used in the real USB and in the real PCB for the mechanical keyboards in the Amigas. Look at the gray. I don't find the gray. No, not this one. Anyway, I've lost one file somewhere. Anyway, wait a minute. So I share this one. Okay. Do you see my presentation?
Yes, it's back to your screen. Yes.
Wait a minute. I'm lost. I'm seeing my camera, but I cannot change. I cannot
I can
change.
see your document there. Unified keyboard. Okay. Now
Maybe yes. Really? I didn't see. Wait a minute. Okay. I am really sorry about my. I mean, I'm so stupid using this kind of software. So share. Where are my?
Just
Here
do
we
the
go.
share.
Here we
share,
go. Here we
share
go.
the
Here
full
we go.
screen.
Here we go. Okay. Do you see this one?
For the
My
main-
presentation?
Yes. It's back to your presentation.
Okay. So the keyboard you've seen can be used in every kind of computers with a USB connection, and it is usable even by the SEM 460 LE motherboard made by A-Cube with the PowerPC processors. And usually they have the help key as well if you want to have a net key on your keyboard, and the keycaps has the help key, because a lot of people ask me to have a help key instead of F12 or F11 or something like that. So this is the two type of keyboards. And as you already know, the Stalker is an open source project, as well as the other PCB for the Amiga keyboards or pre-replacement. The firmware can be upgraded using the standard STM32 programmer software, as I told you before. And you have to download from the ST microelectronic website. And that's all. Everything is open source, so you can do by yourself or even you can buy from me. actually the target price for the, I mean, not for the keyboard, because I have to check everything, because the company who's make the production for my PCBs and the cases wanted to have a minimum order quantity of 500 keyboards, and they are very, very expensive to me. And so I'm asking for a pre-order, and if I reach the 500 minimum order quantity, I can start the production and the keycaps too. And but at the moment, I did a pre-production run for the Stalker project with the 3D printing and connectors and adapters and other stuff like that. If you have to, if you can use your USB keyboard with the Windows keys, as you know, or any Mac Apple keyboard USB, that it's the same protocol in your Amiga. And the target price for this hardware is about maybe less than 60 euros. It's I know it's quite expensive, but it has a lot of stuff. The PCB already mounted with all components and the firmware installed, the 3D printing case, the all the adapters, because I don't want to sell an adapter for the Amiga 1200 instead of 600, instead of 500, instead of so forth. I put every adapter inside the box. So when you buy the Stalker, you buy the Stalker for every Amiga in the world. So if you have 5 Amigas, you can have 1 Stalker running in 5 places. You know, each Amiga can be used with the Stalker, and a nice printing box and a couple of stickers. So I think the price is fair enough to for everyone. So that's all. Any question?
First question from my end. You mentioned several times it's on GitHub, but I haven't seen any links so far.
Oh, I can give you all the links so you can add it to the.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah, I will add it to the.
As soon as. Yes, of course.
I will put it on Facebook,
okay,
and
okay.
Of course on the agenda as well. Yeah.
Panokostas has some questions.
Yeah. Dimitris has a question. Please go.
Yes, I have a question. First of all, congratulations. It's a great thing to see it progress since the Amiga 37 event. I have one question. Definitely going to need at least one of those adapters. You know that already. But the keyboard thing looked really interesting, especially the new revision, which I hadn't seen, where you managed to get everything together, a full-sized, essentially, keyboard in a smaller layout that fits under the garage. So
yes,
I was wondering regarding, since you went for mechanical keyboards, you know how picky the guys want, or the people using mechanical keyboards are with the switches. So I was going to ask, are there going to be options with the switches? Like perhaps, are they going to be swappable, or can you order different switches when you order the keyboard? Or is that hard-coded?
Very nice question. At the moment, to keep the price as low as much possible, I need to have static switches, and they are not hot swappable because of the PCB is needs to be not too thick, so because of the plastic case, and if you are put the hot swappable switches, you can do it, but the case will be a little bit higher, and for the hate, I have to do a new mold for the printing process. But as soon as those are two samples, I not started to have a mold for the moment. So it's I mean, if I have enough requests to do a hot swappable keyboard for the hot swappable switches, so you can use the switch you want and use my keycaps over the switches. That's fine, but the price will be higher. For example, I think the price I don't think it will be double, but more or less, let's see, 50% more, because of the plastic of the machinery to build the case. I can, if I'm forced to increase the size of the case in that way, I think it's will be fun to have a Bluetooth adapter inside. So having more space means to me have more features. So I can add in the case add the Bluetooth adapter. But as you can see, the project is going very slow. If I have to change another stuff like that, it's quite. I mean, I like the way the Bluetooth works, but in the case I want to have something touchable. So I'm not only on the design side, but in a way it can be possible. For example, if I had let's say 500 orders for the hot swappable switches, why not? It's, I mean, it's a matter of price. For example, if instead of spending 10 euros for a keycaps and a keyboard, I can spend let's say 15 euros. I mean, the price is almost 50% more, but it will be an increase for everything, you know.
Yep.
So as you can see, the mechanical keyboard are very expensive. By the way, they are expensive by design. So if you are looking for something cheaper, you're forced to use static switches for the moment, I think.
Then the second part of my question there was, if we go for static switches, will there be an option to choose what kind of switches? For example,
yes,
I prefer
yes,
brown.
yes. For the same, I mean, for the same order quantity. For example, if I like the Cherry MX Blue because of the clicking. And other people hate the clicking sound. They want to have, let's say, the brown switches or the Autemo switches. For example, wait a minute, I will try to keep, wait a minute. This keyboard is with the brown switches, Autemo's brown switches. I've lost the keycap puller.
That's okay. I mean, I know the differences between them. I'm just asking if it's going to be an option, because that's more interesting for some people.
I think it depends. If it would be a nice thing if I put everything on a Kickstarter and start from this. So if I gain enough pre-orders for having both of them, for example, you have to choose your switches, for example, hot swappable or not, and the color. But to me, those are 3 projects at the moment. So I have to have only one at a time.
Yep.
So
understood.
It's
I would be happy if I just
not
had the
an
option.
issue anyway.
Yeah, I would be happy if I just had the option to choose switches, and I don't need to be hot swappable necessarily. Just want to get them with the switches I use. But I guess different people might want then different switches, so it would depend on how many orders you need to do a run.
Yes, I mean the orders are let's say in a 500 quantity, for example. That's all. They are talking about how many quantities we have to put on the plastic side, on the switch side. 500 quantity for each kind of model. If you want to have let's say changing the keycaps changing the switches, changing the color, and having them hot swappable. That means 1,500 pieces, 500 each. So if I reach 500 each project, I can do.
Yep, makes sense. Thank you.
Otherwise, I'm forced to have a fixed project. I'm sorry.
Will this be a Kickstarter then? How do you plan to start it up?
I was for Kickstarter, as you can see, you need to have a very attractive project with a good video, very good renderings, and other stuff like that. And I'm not so great doing video by myself. I need a lot of help from people. If somebody want to help me, I can help. We can join as a community and start a Kickstarter. But I have 90% of the project done. So if you want to start a Kickstarter, you can do by yourself, or you can help me to start a Kickstarter. Some people good at making videos and making 3D renderings and shocking advertisement.
That's a good idea.
Good, many thanks. Gianluca, I'm looking now in the chat, no more questions on Facebook. I don't see more questions. So thanks a lot. I will stop now the recording. And I see we have Dennis with us for Vision Basic.
I'm here.
Yeah, perfect, excellent.
Can you hear me?
If you want to start sharing something. Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
But I'm loud. I'm loud enough, right?
Yeah, at least for me, yes. So I guess for
Okay.
the others as well. Yeah, absolutely. So if you just give me 1 second, I will start recording this session as well. Yeah, and then the floor is yours. You can start. I don't know if you want to share something.
I'm like a mega introvert, so I apologize. I'm Dennis Osborn, and I'm the creator of Vision Basic. I guess I'm gonna share my screen or share. Let's see. I'm gonna try to share. I'm gonna go from screen to screen, so you can see it now.
Yes, you run. Yes. Should I run?
Okay, let's see. Let's pause. Okay. Okay. I don't know how much everybody knows here about Vision Basic, so I'm going to go over some things and show some programs that some have probably seen, but perhaps others have not. I didn't really have enough time to put something together super extravagant, so I apologize for that. I do kind of have ideas for cool things, and I'm like, I want to try to top what I do, but I've been very busy with like a lot of stuff all at once. So I'm going to go over some of the older stuff first. And I'm going to try to run the demo from one of my videos. And we're going to warp this because it's a pretty long file. And okay. Now this is a lot of these are just bitmap examples in this video, this segment here. And I'm going to try to talk and show this stuff. So this is just background imagery for you. I started working on Vision Basic about over 20 years ago because I was simply getting frustrated with BASIC and the basic extensions, compilers, and machine language. Pretty much all of it. I was just frustrated because as a programmer, I wanted everything to just be easier. And, I really do not like programming in pure machine language. So, I love BASIC, but it's just clunky to try to get what you want with all the different tools available. So, Now, Vision Basic is a basic compiler, but it has its own commands and syntax, so it won't necessarily compile an existing basic program without some modification. It has some limitations, but it makes up for those limitations in many ways. One limitation is that math expressions are calculated strictly left to right, and parentheses cannot be used to change that order of operation. And math expressions cannot be used as parameters. I'll do more with this in a minute. But what you gain is speed, first and foremost. And you gain a bunch of new commands for graphics and sound. And there are also commands that can help even set up interrupts, for example. Vision Basic also allows you to type machine language instructions right next to the basic commands. I'm going to go advance through this a little bit. This is just an example of being able to change your plotting colors. And as long as the what happens is when it you can have it set the colors for the whole screen, and then you can change them, and if you do change the colors, it'll write over the existing colors, and it'll draw a little bit slower. But this is something that Simon's Basic does, so I pretty much just copied the idea over, but it allows you to you could draw 3 different colors here and 3 different colors there and whatever. It's just flexibility, so that's kind of cool. But since I saw it in Simon's Basic, I'm like, oh, I want that for Vision Basic too. So and then the next part is just showing the relative speed of bitmap line drawing. And then we have a vertical line drawing command that actually is much faster because it's it's just easier to draw a vertical line. It's a separate routine though. And then the horizontal one is the fastest, as you can see here. And then I also have this color pattern. And then I'll just get through the demo. And this is just an example of, how fast the routines are, especially with horizontal. This is a bitmap drawing right here. And this is a pattern, as you can see, filling. It's using horizontal lines. That's one of the major features of Vision Basic in bitmap. I don't think bitmap gets a lot of use, but I think some people have said that they wanted it for that reason. So I'd like to see what they do with it. And then the next, I'm gonna just try to get through this quicker because I don't want to eat up everybody's time here. And then if you pre-calculate the vertices of like 3D objects, you can do stuff. Let's see if it'll go to, yeah. You can do 3D stuff. This is pretty quick, but it's pre-calculated vertices. I mean, if you're going to calculate them on the fly, it's obviously going to be slower. And I don't remember the keep. I think was it return? I don't know. It may go on to the next thing or not. I don't know. But you can also use an REU to clear the screen, and there you go. If you use an REU to clear the screen, it's much faster. So I don't know if you guys notice the difference, but this is slower and this is faster. And then I think the final stretch of the video, or not video, program here. This is this. Oh, okay. That's a glitch. Now, I don't know exactly why this happens on this. This is interrupts. It would happen when I'm trying to show everybody. I think there's a snag somewhere up in here that's getting snagged or something. Let's see. Let's move on. There's something going on. Okay, I'm gonna try that again. The idea behind that, let me skip through all these. This is just warp mode. And okay, oops, unwarp it. This is just an example that you can set up interrupts. And this is showing 64 sprites all at once. It seems that when I have to figure out what's wrong with the program, what happens is sometimes when I run it a second time, it does that. That is a glitch, and that is something I will try to look into, but I don't seem to have any other issues with interrupts. I think maybe it's just the sheer fact that it's trying to do a whole lot here. Okay, and that's okay. So we're going to exit that. Now going on to more about my creation of Vision Basic. I've tried creating my own programming languages and tools before, but one of the biggest problems I faced was a lack of memory. And if you want your editor and the programs you create with it to both reside in memory at the same time, that seriously limits both the editor and the programs you create with it in size. So Vision Basic requires either an RU or a super CPU with extra RAM in it, at least 256K either way. But the programs you create with Vision Basic do not need the expanded memory intact after you compile them out to disk. So you can share your programs with other people and they don't need the RU. So that's one of the things I wanted to make sure, when creating this language, it's like, well, it does require the RU or the expanded memory, but not when you, give your program away, that you make with it. One thing that I am looking into, I know a lot of people have GeoRAM and NeoRAM. I'm trying to look into expanding into utilizing that memory, but that's for future update, and it's something I'm currently looking at right now and trying to test in my spare time, because most of the time I work on videos and such. Okay, and as for the extra commands that Vision Basic provides, I'd say that a lot of my influence comes from Simon's Basic, but Vision Basic's commands are often fairly different. The goal I had was to create enough commands to where a person wouldn't necessarily have to poke any of the various registers for sprites, sound, and bitmap. So, you could still poke them, you could do whatever you want, but the idea is if a person does not want to, poke, peek, and or and all that other garbage, as you would in Basic, you have dedicated commands to set up a bitmap screen or, move sprites about and stuff like that. I just wanted to make sure that almost every register, you wouldn't have to poke it necessarily. The exception obviously could be like the text screen, if you, there are commands for relocating text and whatnot, but anyways, that was my goal with it initially. Now who would benefit from Vision Basic? Now I've seen, I watched a interesting thing going on in a forum, and you have people who are like, oh, that's beneath me kind of thing. Pretty much anyone who loves a program in Basic would benefit from it. And you're going to have to know Basic first anyways. And if you know some machine language, you're going to enjoy it even more. But for the person who loves to program exclusively in machine language, I don't think they're going to enjoy it as much. It does double as an assembler. And its syntax is, it's kind of like this. You type a line, and then you start out with a bracket that tells that you're entering machine language mode or assembly mode. And then you just type, like this, and then you use a colon, and then you could, do that, and you could just keep doing, and then you could just like leave a comment here and border or something like that. It's different, but it's, I like being able to cram more on the screen myself so I could see more. I don't really care much for the vertical format of assembly language, so I never cared for it. It just, I don't know. Okay, moving on. I really haven't had much time to truly enjoy my creation because I've been busy with videos and everything. I created it mainly for myself. And then, kind of in the back of my head, I'm like, well, I could, give it to the world kind of thing. But I really have not had much of a chance to enjoy it. Like I, truly, first envisioned. I've only really created one finished game with it called Herald. And pretty sure some people may have seen it. Let me see. I'm going to switch to that. I hope I do this right. Okay. Let's go on to the next. Let's see, share. Okay. And here is Harold, and some people, again, I don't know who's seen it and who hasn't seen it. It's not like a game, like it's a Pac-Man clone basically with some key differences, but You know, I mean, I personally think it's kind of impressive for things that compared to things I've done in the past, but it's definitely not on the level of, you know, some more modern things. You know, a lot of, you know, I think somebody was asking, well, you know, can you do a platform kind of thing and all that? And I just haven't had the time for it. I, of course, if I had the time, you know, Vision Basic can let me do pretty much anything I would ever conceivably want to do with it, you know, because, you know, well, I'll explain. Basically, you can mix, like I said, you can mix basic and machine language, you know, together. So it's like, well, if something's not fast enough, or you need, you know, a little more speed, put some machine language in there. I mean, just demonstrate. I'm sure people have seen this, but I'll say press the button. Okay. Oh, it's on pause. Sorry. Had every screen paused because I had it all set up last night. Okay, so 1 or 2 players, 1 player, level of difficulty 1. And I mean, this just shows what, you know, I think a lot of people just, you know, especially basic programmers, just want to make simple games, you know, like they don't necessarily want to, I mean, some of them probably have grand visions, and it is going to still take work. Oops. But basically, this is once the cat eats the catnip. I don't know if everybody can hear me, but if when the cat eats the catnip, it kind of emboldens him so he can eat the mice. But yeah, let me stop it because it's annoying me with the noise. Okay. But anyways, a lot of people who program in BASIC, they program in BASIC because that's what they know and that's what they like. And, you know, some of them don't necessarily have the you know, the grandest of visions. If they do, I mean, BASIC is just sorely lacking. You're not going to make, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog or anything like that with it. Now Vision Basic would, you know, to make something like Sonic or, you know, something like it would obviously require some machine language. You know, and I do provide in my videos some code to show people how to accomplish certain things in machine language so that they don't necessarily have to use machine language and, you know, themselves. They'd be like, okay, I'll just copy the routine and use it in my own program. So that's one of the benefits with Vision Basic, is that you can share what I call user-defined commands. You just take a segment of code, save it to disk, and you can load it in to be used in another program. You know, quite easily actually. The Vision Basic has different banks set up so that you can load like say a command set into, you know, something that somebody else created. Like I have some scroll routines or a scroll routine, and you could load that into a separate bank and just you already have a program existing. You load the scroll routine into a separate bank, and then you know, it's just easy to use that way. Okay. Let's see. Okay, now I do have a contest going on where I hope to see some of the creations from some of my buyers. I've only seen one project so far. I launched Vision Basic in May, and I had one guy. He's pretty much wrapped up a Wordle clone, and I'm going to try to promote that as soon as I can. But anyways, the programming contest wraps up at the end of August of this year. So details for that contest can be found at visionbasic.fun. Now, I don't run that website myself. That is run by somebody that helped me out with my presentation at T-Bug. So I'll just type it here for quick reference. .fun, and that is his website, and he's handling all the contest related things. And then of course my website is visionbasic.net, and I would love to buy visionbasic.com, but it's like $3,000, and I just don't have that kind of cash laying around to, you know, well, just there's no point in it. It's not worth, I'm not making that much from it. Okay, now, so what is the best way to program in Vision Basic? Typically I start out using what I would call the normal commands in Vision Basic, you know, sprite and sound and all that, and you know, just all the commands that make Vision Basic easier. And now, even though Vision Basic is a compiled basic, there is a lot of overhead going on, despite my best efforts to get as much speed out of things as possible. You can't really have versatility without overhead. So, I mean, generally speaking, it's faster than, say, Blitz, but you know, each command has to fetch a parameter that it doesn't know what kind of parameter it is. Is it, you know, I mean, it kind of does, but it doesn't. It's like it has to come upon it and go, oh, that's a value, or that's a variable, or that's an array, or, you know, and it's, you know, the method I try to access those parameters is as quick as I can make it, but it's still overhead. It's still a lot of, you know, interpreting going on as a program is run. So, you know, so you start out with the normal commands, and then if you see that things are not quite as fast as you would like, you can move on to the speedy math commands, because generally a lot of the slowdown is going to be with math, you know, and comparisons and such. So there are some commands that are like almost, I mean, they get converted to direct machine language, but they often occupy more space in the source code and also more memory once compiled. So it's not like, if you don't need to use those, you know, don't. And then when you do, just switch over to them. It's just easier for me to look at my program and go, okay, I'm using the regular if thens and all that. And then, but, you know, it's running a little sluggish here and there. So I'll switch over to, you know, I have a thing called a double compare. It's output in direct machine language. And, you know, I also have some addition and subtraction commands and things like that. So basically you get it where you want it. It's working, but, you know, it's a little sluggish. So you're like, okay, I'm going to convert some of this here and there, you know. The code, it won't look as pretty or as easy to decipher, but it's some of it's actually quite simple, really. Now I'm not in Vision Basic right now, but if you were to, you know, if you had x equals x plus 1, you know, some of it is just as simple as put the word add in front of it. And then that will tell Vision Basic to convert it into pure machine language instead of using the routines that have the overhead. So that's why I added those commands. Okay, I'm gonna go over to, now this is wait, hold on. Let's stop sharing that screen. Move over to this one. Again, I don't know who's seen what. This is just a game that I had been working on. I don't really ever plan to finish it like 100%. It's more for demo purposes. I don't, maybe you don't see it yet. Hold on. Let's see. Share. Okay. There. Now some people may have seen it, some may not have. And let's get it running here. And this shows that, you know, with clever programming and stuff, you can accomplish a lot. And also this involves smooth scrolling. So I provide a routine that pretty much anybody can add into their programs and use it for their own games. So, you know, in one of my videos, I kind of explain the best way to program, because really, when a lot of people make games like this, they usually use machine language, and typically it's kind of required because, you know, you got a lot going on here. But one of the things that, you know, I learned in programming though is that, you know, like see the enemy ships here, they don't necessarily have to be making decisions, you know, all the time. They only need to make decisions like, you know, maybe every few screen refreshes. They don't have to be, you know, trying to assess the situation immediately. It's just overkill. So that's what's going on here. A lot of these ships, this, you know, despite only making intelligent decisions every few screen refreshes, it's enough to be lethal. And I'm not really doing much here, but anyways, so that is one of the things I plan to revisit this one more time. Mostly, I think just to add some sound or something to it. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a finished thing out of it. You know, it's more demonstrative. And we'll get out of that one. Okay, I don't have much more in the way of notes, so I'm going to have to wing it from here on. Let's see. Stop sharing that one. And I got like, let's see. Hope that's, is that the one or? Okay. And let's see, share this one. It's funny because I could see my screen. I could see the screen and you guys are like, what's going on? Okay. Now I'm going to show the demo I showed at TPUG. I would like to actually do an improved version of this thing, but I just, like I said, I didn't have enough time to get something ready for y'all. So I apologize for that. Really, one of the things I've been working on is a cheaper manual. It's a paperback version. So it's going to be considerably cheaper for people. Let me get this moving here. Okay. Basically what this does here is it draws on the bitmap screen and then it converts it over to sprites. But basically what this just shows is what's possible. I mean, this isn't like, oh, you know, if you're a beginner programmer, you're going to be like, I don't know how to do that, you know. So obviously it's going to take some learning and some things, you know, but the idea here is that this doesn't really use, I tried to do as much basic as I could with this. There's only like there might be like some very tiny instances of some machine assembly language, but essentially this actually accomplishes most of what, you know, most everything here with basic. It's just also written clever enough to be able to accomplish it. So, but this basically just moves. It's drawing about 20. It's displaying about 20 sprites. So it's moving the 8 sprites down the screen in order to recreate more sprites. So, but this is what I showed at TPUG, and I would like to do something a little bit more impressive than this, but like I said, I didn't have the time. So I do apologize for that. I don't know how long I've been talking. Let's see. I don't know how much more time I have. I think everybody's kind of gone over a little bit.
No, that's okay. Maybe we can go to the. Well, I don't know if you have more to.
Well, I had a little bit more to show. I have a little bit more to show, but I'm gonna kind of just go through it quickly. I tried to create something for this. Try to create something for this specifically, for this Zoom specifically, and it's just kind of shows, you know, kind of like differences and, you know, how a program can evolve. Now this is a program I've written just regular basic, and I try to create something that would move as fast as it can move in regular basic. It's loading an array right now. Hopefully it will. I want to warp it, but I want to give you I don't want to give you the impression that it's faster than it is. Okay. Oops. Okay. Basically here you have all 8 sprites on the screen in a regular basic program, and they're all basically, they're going to bounce around the screen, but they're all trying to detect each other and make sure that, oh, if I, you know, bump into one of the other ones, it's like, well, you want to bounce off of it. So yeah, this is basic. I mean, this is, you know, what people who program in basic are kind of stuck with. You know, they're like, wow, that's awesome. You know, and you can move them like, you know, 2 pixels at a time or whatever, but that's still not going to fix this. So let me get, let's run stop. Okay. And okay, now I do have a Blitz, Blitz version, C/ and all of that one. Now this is compiled with Blitz, same program, compiled with Blitz, and I used to use Blitz a lot. And again, it's just like, well, okay, you know, it's not what you want it to be, you know. It's like, okay, well, You know, and I used to use Blitz for a lot of things, and this is what I would run into. It's like, well, not quite fast enough. Now you can you know, add a machine language routine here and there to kind of speed things up, but that's very clunky. It's very laborious. I mean, it's just not very fun to do that kind of stuff. You still have some lag and some error, you know, like, oh, I got to load the machine language into memory and whatnot. So then I'm gonna have to go back to the other editor for the other ones. And then I'm just going to exit out of this one. And then now, and I don't really have a lot of time to show you everything about Vision Basic, but you guys can view the videos. But anyhow, so I'm like, okay, let's just load, I decided to load the program into Vision Basic and just kind of convert it, just a straight up conversion. Oops. And without any speed up. And here it is. And now if you remember what the Blitz version looked like, you can see this one should be faster than that one. But obviously, like I said, you when you program it, you're like, it needs to be a little faster, right? One of the main reasons for that being that speed has to do with arrays. Arrays generally are your slowest variable type. So I find ways to avoid them where possible. So
you're not sharing at the moment.
Oh, I'm not sharing. Oh, I haven't. Oh gosh, I apologize for that. You didn't. So no, you didn't guys see anything. Okay.
No, we saw the two. So I think you showed what the first version of the moving boxes there, box bouncers.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, see, like I said, I get confused.
And then the
like,
second
wow,
one,
I see it.
The second one as well. No. It's just now that you changed to something else. Then that.
Yeah, let me reload that. Okay, I apologize. Dang.
But while you reload, maybe I have just an on-the-fly question, because there I saw on the disk that you had, for example, two versions, and then the one that is called box bounces or box bouncer, that was there. So the first one is five.
Yeah, this is actual basic.
File size is lower when you use the
basic,
the Vision Basic.
Well, no, I mean, this top one is just regular basic.
Yeah.
And then this is Blitz here, the 27.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And that's what a lot of, compilers do, is they tend to tack on code. Now, Vision Basic is no different. It actually does tack on a decent amount of code, but it also makes up for that by opening up the RAM under the basic ROM. So, as long as you're able to load, have like a fast loader and stuff, or you just go get a cup of coffee while something loads, it's, I don't know. But the source code here, this one here, this is the Vision Basic version. It's actually slightly smaller because it has a sprite command, and regular basic does not. So there are some things that make the source code smaller. Now the compiled program is going to be kind of like, Blitz is going to be bigger. It's going to be blown up because of the support routines. And I apologize. I'm going to run the demo. I'll run this one more time just to show you. And it should be it should be noticeably faster than the Blitz version, but not really, it's still not like, I like that, and like I said, the problem is the arrays that it uses. So, I decided to eliminate the arrays. There's a way of doing that. You just basically just transfer values and then send them to a routine, and the transfer, the manual transfer is a lot quicker than using arrays. And then you end up with something like this here once it compiles. And see, this is significantly faster than the previous one. Again, nothing to go, run home and tell your mom about. But the idea is that as you keep going on, you're just like, well, I can tweak something here and do something here, and you learn the different techniques. But the point is that if you're going to have certain parts of a game, or say a menu or different things like that, you don't need to focus on speed. You need to focus on whatever needs to be faster. So then you start using the alternate methods and commands to bring about some speed. And I do actually have some things planned for a future version that'll even make a lot of things easier, because I realize that, you know, there is some tedious, you know, you do have to go through the code and go, I got to change this and that. So, but I do have 2 final versions. I'm going to skip 3 or 4. Oops. Oh, I bet I need to stop that. Just going to recompile the, sorry. Okay, run this one. Now this one is pretty much the fastest I can get it. Now I did use one machine language trick. I created a routine which can actually be shared with anybody. So basically the person's like, well, I have these XY coordinates for every sprite, and you just plug it right into the routine. You could just be like XY, 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 XY. It's real simple. So they don't have to necessarily know the machine language. They just have to know where to plug in the you know, the X and Y values. But this is pretty much the fastest that these boxes are going to move, even in machine language, because otherwise you're, you know, if you try to move them faster, you're going to be moving them more than once per screen refresh, which, you know, that's not really, you're basically moving them 2 at a time, or, you know, 2 spaces at a time or something like that. So this is 1 at a time, and you could change the program to move them 2 at a time for more impressive speeds. But now the border is just showing me how much time is left, you know, cycle wise. You know, this is free cycles that are like doing nothing. So essentially it accomplishes the task in the amount of time necessary. And then finally, just for fun, let's see, big bouncer. I decided I wanted to do like big giant blocks just for the heck of it, make it a little more crowded. Let's see, and I think I'm just going to pretty much leave it on this. There you go. A little more fun. I mean, kind of a little more fun because they're all bumping into each other. So I guess that kind of concludes everything. I do want to, before I hand over everything, I want to say that for a full week starting today, I do have a coupon code for those who'd like to buy Vision Basic at my website, visionbasic.net. The coupon code, and I'll type it, I guess, before I leave, or I'll share it with you. It's the word special, and then 15 followed by the %, and then off. So I'll share that. Well, I guess I could just type it now. Special 15% off, and that's off of any package I have. And that concludes it. I don't know how long that took. I apologize for going over. But there you go.
No, that's fine. Perfect. Thanks a lot. I'm looking now on Facebook if there are any questions. I don't see. I don't know if anybody in the call here have any questions.
I don't know. I'm wondering if some people have attended the TPUG meeting or not. I'm trying to see if there are any faces I remember. Because I did do one with TPUG at TPUG, Toronto based.
No, but then maybe I have a few questions. So do you have a list of comments somewhere? Is it on the website?
No, somebody actually, you'd have to look it up. I don't have it on hand. Somebody did post kind of a cheat sheet of sorts. It's not something I really wanted out there because of, you know, piracy and whatnot. But it's.
But you have an idea how many commands?
Oh yeah, it's saying. I mean, Vision Basic adds over 100 new commands.
Okay.
And like I said, I do plan to add some more, as long as Vision Basic takes up like almost all the memory though. So adding more stuff to it is going to be a huge challenge.
Yeah, that's why you need the RAM expansion unit. I think on the website today you said you need at least 256K, but on the website I think you recommend 512, right?
Yeah, because it you know, it limits the size of some things.
Yeah. So you said as well you started in May, or you released it in May?
I released it in May. I started this project in like 1997. Oh, yeah. And it took off like 10 years because I was trying to raise my son. I just didn't have the time for it anymore. He just kept me super busy. So But that's actually a blessing because it actually is better, I think, than it would have been.
But so since May, how many users do you have? Do you have already like a little community of?
Sort of. It's somewhere between 100 and 200. I mean, it's not a free program. It's just way too much work for me to just do this for free. I would just be like, I mean, it doesn't pay that great either, but it's just way too much work for me. I mean, I'd just rather be doing something else with my time, using it for myself, for example. But you know, it's just a little, it's not a whole lot of money. It's definitely not anything like minimum wage or anything like that's really small. You know, when you take all the time I put into it, and it's not a hot seller, you know, it's not like, oh, everybody's got to have it. But you know, if I'm going to keep investing my time into it, it kind of helps to have that little bit of, just a little bit of help there, you know, something that urge me on. And then, you know, hearing people tell me their stories and stuff. So
yeah, it's also motivating, I guess.
huh?
It's also motivating, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are different things that motivate me, but it's one of those things that's very difficult because, you know, you have the negatives, you have the positives, you have I mean, I work on this project pretty much every minute I can. You know, it's like, okay, I work my regular job, which doesn't pay well. And then I come home and then, you know, I spend time with my wife. And then it's like, okay, after she's gone to bed, it's like, okay, jump on it, you know? And so, you know, I make videos and different things. So it's just, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It really is.
But then you I think you mentioned you're also using a Ultimate 60, or at least I have seen that on the website. So it works on the Ultimate. And did you ever tested it on, for example, the Amiga 65?
The what?
The Amiga 65.
The Amiga 65. No, I have not tested.
Amiga, not Amiga, Mega, MEGA
No.
65. You know this.
Oh wait, that's what, a Mac version?
No, that's just
it's
a kind of.
I haven't heard of that. That's an emulator,
okay.
Right? Is that an emulator?
Is it? It's not really emulated. I think that's a kind of new hardware, new 8-bit computer that was supposed to be like the Commodore 65, but it's a new version of the Commodore 65.
Oh, you're talking about the Mega? Oh, Mega 65.
Yeah, exactly, Mega 65. Yes.
Well, I haven't tested on that. I tried ordering one. I had like saved up for years, like a bunch of birthday money and stuff, and I tried ordering one, and they haven't really responded. So I haven't really been able to test it on that. I do think there's an emulator I could test it on.
Yes,
so that's something
you can download the emulator. Yes, but you never heard of your users having tested it on that one.
Well, I haven't really. I don't think anybody's mentioned the Mega 65. I mean, they've mentioned it, but they want me to make a version for the Mega 65. And the problem with the idea of doing ports right now is just the time. I just don't have the time for it. You know, I'd rather keep improving Vision Basic itself to have a final version before I do a port to any other computer. So as far as working on the Mega 65 as it is, I would gamble and say it probably should, but I have not tested it. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's all for my questions. I'm looking now on Facebook. No more questions. I don't know if amongst the attendees here, is there anybody who has another question? I don't think so. So I will stop the recording now. Yes, perfect. And then I guess it's time to close, right? We are, I would say, slightly over time. No, we are well.
Yeah, when I joined in, I was like, dang, when do I start?
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. It's more or less every time a bit like that. If there is a lot of interest on the topics, and of course people have questions, this and that, and then we just leave it running. So that's I would say I would like to thank everyone who joined, all the speakers today. I will quickly just share to close that of course we have the next call, or the next event like this online event will be then in June But before that, in 1 month from now, we have then the hackathon in Helmond. That will be then a physical face-to-face meeting and activities during 2 days at the Home Computer Museum. And I hope to see some of you guys over there. And well, again, thanks very much. And it's time to close.
Thanks.
Thank you, and have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was pretty cool.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.